Here we go. Here we go. Off and running. Welcome into the Bill Michaels Show, the Thursday edition. I apologize for the sound. I am under the weather. Last night, really under the weather, but a little bit better today. And now we come out of the shoot today with news that Nathaniel Hackett, Aaron Rodgers' guy, is off to New York. He's heading to the Jets to become their offensive coordinator. And now all of the speculation about they're bringing him in. Aaron's given an indication he's coming back. Yes! And then he's going to end up going over to the Jets. They're going to make a trade. He's going to make it friendly enough for the cap so that way the Packers don't take a hit. And that's going to benefit every. Oh my God. Oh, and all over Jets Nation, Packers Nation, Sports Talk Nation, people are changing their pants. That's it. That's the day today. I just kind of rolled my eyes and thought, okay, we knew this was going to happen when he started interviewing. He's a friend of Matt LaFleur's. Saleh is a friend of Matt LaFleur's. Nathaniel Hackett is a friend of Saleh's and Matt LaFleur's. Mike LaFleur, Matt LaFleur's brother, was the guy that got fired. Nathaniel Hackett was a pretty good offensive coordinator when he was here. It's a natural. I don't, when they say breaking news, it's like breaking news. It should have been like, oh, yeah, everything we talked about came true. There you go. I'm going to stay steadfast on what I started the week off with and what I'll end the week with. Rodgers is going to come back to the Packers. He'll adjust whatever he needs to adjust cap-wise. They'll do what they can to run it back, and I think he wants to retire a Green Bay Packer. I just do. That's it. So there you go. Maybe I'm the giant bucket of cold water on the rumor mill today, but I it happened, and all I know is, man, Twitter just blew up. If you follow like TweetDeck, which I do, I keep it open during the show. So you got Twitter and all the different things you follow, the Packers, the Brewers, the Bucks, and all that stuff. Oh my God, the Packers section was just throttling, people going crazy. So. And then there's the DeAndre Hopkins rumors that are floating around out there that Vegas BetOnline .LV is now saying that DeAndre Hopkins is most likely to be traded to the Green Bay Packers. That's where the bets are right now out in Vegas. The most likely team to end up with DeAndre Hopkins services is the Packers. That'd be nice. I'd take that. Now, he's not DeAndre Hopkins from years gone by playing in Houston, but I'll still take it. If he can stay healthy, that's been the biggest problem for DeAndre Hopkins. So that's the way we start off the day. How you doing today? 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. You can hit us up over on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. You can find us on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. YouTube. And thank you so much for subscribing over on YouTube. We have now we've rolled over 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. So thanks so much. No, we're like 8 away from 3,000. So we're about 3,000. But thanks for watching on YouTube, on Twitch TV, youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. Same thing on Twitch. And you can email the program. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, all that kind of good stuff. Ben Kenny at Ben Z Kenny over on Twitter. Ben, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm on my third pair of pants. I must say,
okay. The first two had to be golf related, right?
No, we talked a little golf today. Okay. My guy Taylor Montgomery is dicing it up, odds-on favorite. But the second pair, I'm caught up in the moment with all this, I must say, and that's maybe just being a fan of, the musical chairs of the NFL and what we do, right? In Sports Talk Radio. But to the Jets and to the NFL, I say thank you. This is tremendous content.
Yes.
Because I don't know, I don't think it's going to change whether the Packers want Rodgers back. It's just in the event they don't, this becomes the clear other plan.
Right.
So I don't think it changes much, but the storylines are awesome.
Yep. I would completely agree. It is going to be a hotbed, a skillet of chat. That's what it is. A skillet of chat. It's all hot. It's all sizzling. Skillet of chat. That's what we got going on. So good stuff. What else do we have here for you? We got, oh, by the way, our guy Mo Egger from ESPN Radio in Cincinnati is going to join us today. We're going to start taking a look around the league. And Cincinnati heading into Kansas City. We made our picks last night. We're going to make our picks against the spread today. But by the way, Patrick Mahomes, I don't know if you saw the footage of Patrick Mahomes. He went to the podium, said it's AFC Championship week. I'm good. Walked out. He's got a little bit of a stiffness to his walk, but not anything terrible. There was video of him going through the workouts early on, doing all the high steps and all that kind of stuff. Here was something I didn't know, and I just didn't know this. So when, you know how they always say, Ben, well, you know what? He'll be fine. They'll shoot it up. He'll be good, right? Ben? If you're in pain, they'll shoot it up. You feel the pain. You'll be able to go play, and you'll be good. It'll be sore the next day, but you'll be good. And then if he gets through the game and they win, then he's got 2 weeks to heal up going into Super Bowl week. Okay. I did not realize that once you get shot up, you get what they call the shot. I did not realize once you got the shot that the next time you need the shot doesn't work as much. The more you get the shot, the less effective it becomes. I didn't know that. I've only had the shot one time in my entire life, and that wasn't anything sports related. I didn't realize that, though. So the rumor was that Patrick Mahomes, in the second half of that game this past weekend against the Jacksonville Jaguars, got the shot. And he has not really gone through a full rigorous workout, obviously yesterday or today or whatever. So going into the game on Sunday, if indeed he does get the shot, they said the way to play it is to get after him early to see what his kind of legitimate mobility is. And then kind of just play your defense. And then because the shot wears off. And then in the second half of that game, and it's cold, when the shot starts to wear off and you start to really feel it, then they said, then you unleash the dogs. You just come after them every which way. So I found that incredibly interesting this morning. I was listening to Good Morning Football, as I usually do. Good Morning Football, Get Up, and all that kind of stuff, flipping around. And I was listening to that. And as I was doing the massage, anybody have a massage? You know what that is? That nasal thing where you put that machine up your nose and it starts blowing out everything that's nasty in your head. I was doing that this morning. Over and over and over and over again. But apparently the shot does not work as effectively the second time you get it or the third time you get it. And they don't like to do it for a third time. So it's going to be that was something I didn't know. So when you talk about strategies going into this game coming up on Sunday, most players, former players say, oh yeah, you'll get a shot. You'll get the shot. If you're already ailing, high ankle sprain, you'll definitely get the shot, but it'll only last maybe a quarter and a half, 2 quarters. And after that, that's it. You start feeling it again. So I thought that was interesting when it comes to strategy, getting after Patrick Mahomes this coming weekend. So we're going to talk with our buddy Mo Egger from ESPN Radio in Cincinnati. And then we're going to talk with Jim Owczarski. We have not talked a lot of Bucs basketball, and we need to. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Bucs, and Jim's going to join us, give us a lowdown as to what's going on in Bucs Nation. Charles Barkley had some things to say about the NBA, which I found rather interesting, and I found rather on the nose. And hopefully, do you have that, Ben? We'll hear that later on too, right?
I could find it.
Yeah, because Charles Barkley went off on the NBA, and I thought it was incredibly poignant. So we'll get that, and then we're going to make our NFL picks today. We'll get into all of that, picks against the spread. Tomorrow, last night, first of all, say thanks to the staff and management at the New Berlin Ale House. That is such a cool place. I travel around the area all the time, and this thing's pretty close to my own backyard. I hardly ever go there, admittedly, and it's just such a cool place, and I forget about it. We do it more in the summertime when we ride than we do in the wintertime, but such a cool place. We had so much fun last night. Yesterday morning, I woke up in the middle of the night. I woke up. I told you yesterday on the show, it was 4:06 a.m. And the right side of my head was like raw, if that makes sense. It's raw. Everything that drains out of your head and into your throat and then into your chest, it's just raw. It like hurts, it burns, it just, you got an ache to it, So, and I was amazed at how fast I went from feeling great to miserable. Last night I got home. I bolted out of New Berlin Ale House and went straight home. So weak. So like just could hardly lift my hands up. Got my briefcase and a couple things or my backpack out of the car, went upstairs and I just collapsed in bed. I went to bed at 9:00 last night. About every 2 hours I was up last night, about every 2 hours. And I could not get warm. I had 3 comforters on my bed. Couldn't get warm. I was shivering and shaking. And I thought, because we got the distillery tomorrow. So I want to be, ready to go do that. And I wanted to promote it. So I thought, you got to go to work. You got to go to work. You got to go to work. And I'm glad I'm sick now rather than next week when we're heading off to Super Bowl. So last night about 2:30, and I'm weak and I'm tired and I keep getting up. And last night, I had one of those sweats where everything broke. I had one of those sweats where you like woke up and you're like, oh my God, I got to change everything. The sheets, the underpad in the bed. Everything. Had to peel the entire bed last night. I went into one of the guest rooms and slept in the guest room last night and then woke up this morning in the guest room about 7:30. But every 2 hours I was up. Every 2 hours last night. If I ran right now, I'd sound like a maraca. I got so much garbage in me. But hot shower today, massage a couple of times today, clean out my sinuses. And if you've ever have you ever done a massage?
No.
So what it is, and I'm sure you've seen it on TV, it's this machine and it's got 2 ports and you put the 2 ports in your nose. And you can't stick it like hard against there because there's a suction to it and it'll like it'll like collapse your nose and then it doesn't work right. So you got to put it just in enough to create enough suction throughout your sinus cavity from one side to the next. So you hold this massage machine and you put it in your nose and you push the button. And what it does is it starts squirting saline and salt water up one side of your nasal cavity and it blasts it through and it comes washing out the other side. And it's supposed to kind of clean you out. I don't know what I got, but the garbage that fell out of my head, I don't want to be gross, so I'm not going to get into the details of it, but the garbage that fell out of my head, holy crap. Holy moly. So I feel better. I'm talking a little bit better than I was earlier this morning, but I got to tell you, I am sweating my ass off today. I feel like I've just run 20 miles. So like fat guy walking up the stairs, breathing heavy kind of sweat, just profusely, like toweling your head, toweling your side, like where your sideburns on. My neck is sweaty. I'm wearing shorts today. So, for those that are watching on the Bud Light live stream, I'm wearing shorts. I'm sweaty everywhere. It's just the nastiest thing, man. It's like, holy mackerel. So I hope you don't get it. But if anybody's got any remedies to this, what I'm going through, and it's, by the way, I tested this morning for COVID because I got all those COVID tests, negative. I don't think I'm in that, realm, but negative for COVID. I just think I got a sinus infection because I'm kind of prone to that stuff. But man, I can't believe how fast it hit. About 4:06 yesterday morning, and by last night, I couldn't even get warm. I was shivering and shaking. Well, I tell you what, you threw me in your bathtub with a bunch of hot water and a couple of soap. You could have thrown your laundry in with me. I would have agitated your laundry clean. Let's do this. Going to go ahead and take a quick break and come back. We got a lot more to get to. And we're just starting out today. Just starting out today. Because Nathaniel Hackett is now the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets. You know what that means. Here comes all the conjecture. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Also, coming up in the next hour, we will tell you who our on-site special guest is going to be tomorrow when we're at the distillery. We're going to be in Grafton. Going to come on out for lunch, 11 to 2. We're going to be there. So come on out and hang out with us. Cannot wait. Giving away a 55-inch big screen TV, compliments of our friends from Bud Light. Giving away all kinds of Bud Light specials tomorrow, lunch specials tomorrow, whiskey specials tomorrow. Take the day off. Come out and enjoy the show. Maybe you'll win the TV. And we got a special guest that's going to be on site in the noon hour. I can't wait. Mike Clemens is going to join us live, too, in the final hour of the show. But looking forward to the show tomorrow. Really looking forward to this. It's going to be a lot of fun. So it's all brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Even when the weather outside is frightful, your energy bill could be much more delightful. Hi, I'm Gina Della from Pella. Replacing drafty windows and doors can dramatically lower your energy costs. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin offers some of the most energy efficient windows in the industry, designed to keep the cold outside where it belongs. You'll help kick the January blues when you choose to book by the 31st for 0% interest up to 2029. You heard that right. No interest up to the year 2029 if you book by January 31st. Pella's premium wood windows and patio doors feature distinguished craftsmanship and nearly endless possibilities, with maximum design flexibility in dramatic sizes, custom colors, finishes, profiles, product types, and more. Hurry. To get the 0% interest up to 2029, you have to book by January 31st. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Show. We continue on this portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson, wishhd.com. That's wishhd.com. Out there in Oconomowoc, and all you got to do is look for them. They're just south of 94 off 67. Check them out because riding season is going to be here before you know it. And if you don't have that bike, new and used, big inventory, and the brand new ones are coming in. The anniversaries are rolling in. This being the 120th year for Harley-Davidson, not to mention motor clothes and everything else that goes along with it. And if you're ready to get your bike serviced and start looking in that direction at some point, great place to go. Great place to go. Go to wishhd.com. That's wishhd.com. Navy Nuggets says, Bill, you're in such denial that it is a real possibility for Rodgers to be traded. Reminds me of the denial you had that Green Bay wasn't going to retain Barry after their late season run. I wasn't in denial that they were going to. I said that I would let him go. And as far as denial about Rodgers, I think 40. I think it's 60% he stays. And I honestly think it's Aaron's decision. To be honest with you, I think it's Aaron's decision. I think this whole thing about denial, it's like, no, it's not denial. There's people that are so quick to say, you got to do this, you got to trade them, you got to get rid of this. And then what? Because this fan base is split, much like we just posted the other day, probably 70-30. 30 keep them, 70 trade them. And if they bring them back and they don't win a Super Bowl, the 70% are going to say, see, I told you so. And if they do trade them away, and next year and the year after sucks, the 70% of you are going to remain 100% silent. You won't say a word. That's just what's going to happen. And what could be the worst case scenario is if you trade him away and he wins a championship with the New York Jets, then you're really going to be silent. You won't say a word. You'll go into the hole and you'll never come out. You'll listen, but you'll never chime in. Or you all of a sudden go, no, I told you so. I told you so. I'm not in denial. I'm looking at what reality is. And I'm looking at what I know, what I hear, and hypothesizing what I think. It's not denial. I think Rodgers wants to play for the Green Bay Packers. I think he wants to run it back. I think he wants to win a championship on another level in Green Bay. Now, if he won in New York, he would be a god in New York. He would be this, to take the Jets, one, to the postseason, but two, put them deep into the postseason. He would be a god in New York. And that's New York. So the legacy would grow, right? Okay. That I agree with. But I really believe that he wants, and it's not denial. Again, it's just what I know and what I hear. I really believe that he wants to finish in Green Bay. And he wants to win in Green Bay. One more time, run it back, best you can, best shot, here you go. Gary says, I've seen the Jets podcasters and sports shows begging for Aaron Rodgers to come there. Right. But the whole Nathaniel Hackett thing, remember, they were, Denver was going to make a trade and they were going to bring him in, and Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers were going to rule the roost in Denver. Never happened. And Rodgers even said, I never thought about playing for anybody else but Green Bay. Mainly because like he said, he's always been under contract. He's not going anywhere else. Mark says, I'm in the 70% and I'm absolutely willing to take the lump of rebuilding. How many years? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying how many years? How many years are you willing to take right now? If you knew that you could get it. The other thing that I caution you, I say this all the time to people. You have to believe Jordan Love is the real deal. You have to. Because if you don't, and you're going to start the, quote, rebuild or reload or whatever you want to call it, and not have the quarterback to run it and not have the defense to support a mediocre, average to just a little above average quarterback, you're done. You are going to be not in the same situation, but you're going to be kind of in a situation that the Cowboys are, because that means you will have said, we're going to pay Jordan Love and pick up his extension, his 5th year, and probably extend him. And once you're committed, you're committed. And they're going to force that. Oh, he's going to learn. Oh, he's going to get better. Oh, he's going to do this. Oh, he's going to do that. And the whole time you're like, no. And you're still searching for a quarterback. So that's why you had better believe and know that Jordan Love is a real deal. Because if he's not, you're just going to fade away into anonymity. And all of a sudden you're going, boy, Back to the Future, man. Here's the 80s. And like Ricky says, well, we haven't won crap with him. Yep, I agree. Whose fault is that? The last 3 years, I'll go with Jann. I'll go with Jann. 100%. It was as much him as anybody else. But prior to that, that was on the organization. That was organizational failures. 877-867-1670. By the way, hello down in the Everglades. In Gator Alley down there in Florida, listening to us on the Bud Light live stream. When we come back, Mo Egger, ESPN Radio, is going to join us. Mo's always great, always good to talk to. And we're going to start taking a look around the AFC and NFC championship games. Mo's going to be the first one out of the chute. We're going to talk a little Cincinnati Bengals football as they get ready to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. That will be coming up next. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you, the Bill Michaels Show. We continue on this kind of, blustery little bit of snow falling right now outside on a Thursday edition of the Bill Michaels Show. Good to have you. And joining us on the line now, talk a little bit about the AFC Championship game coming up down in Kansas City. Our guy, Mo Egger from ESPN Radio in Cincinnati, at Mo Egger over on Twitter if you want to find him there. Mo, how you doing, bud?
Bill, I'm great. What's going on?
Now, are you in KC yet, or are you still back in Cincy?
I am departing for Kansas City first thing Saturday morning.
Gotcha. Okay, so you got to go to Joe's Barbecue. By the way, find Joe's. It's famous. It's a dive joint, but fantastic barbecue. Just so you know, just giving you a hint. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this upcoming game. I was thoroughly impressed with the Bengals' offensive line against the Buffalo Bills. Let's start there. Do they feel that they've got things solidified now to protect Joe Burrow?
Yeah, and I think part of it is that they just feel comfortable with Joe Burrow himself. I think to a degree, we never expected the Cincinnati offensive line to play the way it did against Buffalo. But I think in any game you go into it going, okay, even if pass protection breaks down, Joe Burrow's not going to make mistakes. We talked about it last year, right? During the postseason, he was hit a bunch. He was sacked a ton. But those things didn't turn into mistakes. I think where folks were surprised was the ease with which they ran the football. This has been a team that all season long has had a very uneven running game. To run for 170 yards against the Buffalo Bills and really dominate the game physically with 3 backup offensive linemen isn't something they would expect. And I frankly think that's going to be the more interesting thing to watch on Sunday. I think with the skill guys they have and with the quarterback they have, I think you expect them to be okay throwing the football, even if the pass protection isn't great. But if they run it the way they did against the Bills this Sunday against KC, Bill, I don't know how you prepare for them, and I don't know how you stop them. And I think that, to me, is the most interesting thing about, at least from an offensive perspective, what the Bengals have to do on Sunday.
The passing game, obviously, they're not like chucking it downfield. Everybody talks about Jamar Chase and the downfield ability. They haven't done that consistently. But I go back to what, I was looking at the analysts and listening to the analysts over the weekend about how Joe Burrow is just so technically sound. and how he just kind of, organizes the field in his brain and just takes what the defense gives him. And what do you see that Joe Burrow is going to need to watch out for against Kansas City coming up this weekend?
Pass pressure up the middle, because if there's a guy that I think from a Cincinnati perspective kind of scares you, it's Chris Jones. DJ Reader is I would have put just behind Chris Jones on the list of sort of high-end interior pass rushers. Cincinnati has enjoyed the benefit of what he's done now for 2 years, and Chris Jones is even better. So to me, I look for pressure up the middle. He's been great at evading or escaping when pressure comes from the edges. It's when pressure gets in his face that I think you watch. To me, there's that. And then it's if the running game dries up, and now suddenly Joe is a little bit off schedule, and they've got to third and longs, things like that. And then we'll see how Kansas City plays it. But, you're right. I mean, the way Joe Burrow back, not by Mahomes, doesn't maybe wow you the way it does at times with a guy like Josh Allen. He will quite simply diagnose where the ball should go before the ball is snapped, make the right read, get it there, let his receiver do the rest. It's not necessarily sexy, but it is extraordinarily effective, and I would imagine that you're going to see a lot of that because, they've said it all season long. You want to play too high, that's great. We'll throw it short. You want to try to take away the short stuff and dare us to throw it long. Got the guys who can go get it downfield and kind of pick your poison. I think Cincinnati's offense really hinges, though, on Sunday on how well it can run it. Because when this team has been good on the ground, and that hasn't happened all that often, but when they've been good on the ground, they're really hard to defend. The way you make them easier to defend is you make them one-dimensional. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how KC plays the run and to see how effectively the Bengals run the football on Sunday.
I have been more impressed. I mean, Joe Mixon runs like a beast, don't get me wrong, but I've been just as impressed with Pirine and the way he runs the ball. It's kind of like he's a power runner, but he's got a different gear. He's got a quickness Pirine does to him, doesn't he?
Agree wholeheartedly. That's actually been a kind of a topic of conversation for most of the season. And if you go back to when these two teams played back on December the 4th, Joe Mixon was in concussion protocol. Samaje Perine ran for over 100 yards. He had some big runs in the postseason last year. He is, there's a handful of things they rely on him for. Number one, he is their 2-minute back. Heck, you saw it in the Super Bowl last year. Number two, he is far better at pass protection. That is a deficiency in Joe Mixon's game. We've known those things for a while, but you're right. I think if you were to just watch the two kind of side by side on film, you'll conclude that Samaje Perine is the more powerful runner, does a better job finishing runs, is a little bit more decisive. Now, he's not as fast. He doesn't have the home run hitting capability of a Joe Mixon, but the other thing about Samaje Perine, and, again, you saw it a little bit on Sunday, when they're in a position to grind out a game and salt it away, and who knows if they're going to be in that position on Sunday, it's Samaje Perine getting the football and not Joe Mixon. They really have developed a pretty good 1-2 punch. And, in the back of Steve Spagnuolo's mind, the defensive coordinator of Kansas City, he remembers that 100-yard game that Samaje Perine had. You go into a Cincinnati game and you expect, all right, Jamar Chase is going to get us. Tyler Boyd is going to get us. If Joe Mixon's healthy, we got to account for him. Then you add Samaje Perine to the mix. Again, when they're cooking, when they're clicking on all cylinders, almost impossible to defend.
Tell me about the defense. Well, let's start with injuries first and foremost. Is what is significant, and do you have a hope of getting some of the guys on an offensive line back?
I think today we'll know a little bit more, but neither player practiced at all yesterday. I don't think I would be surprised if either one of those guys, Alex Capper or Jonah Williams, dressed. But I think they want to go with what they've got. I think they want to go with the healthiest version of the offensive line they have, and that's the five-man unit that played on Sunday against Buffalo. Aside from that, this team's pretty healthy. They've won 10 straight games, and they've had to do it without their top cover corner in Chidobe Awuzie. Obviously, Eli Apple has thrust himself into the spotlight. He's going to be a major talking point on Sunday, save for Cam Taylor-Britt, who had his first interception of the season against Buffalo. But by and large, on defense, They go into this game healthy, and they go into this game with a track record of not stopping Patrick Mahomes, but certainly slowing him down. And to me, the chess match that exists between Lou Anarumo, Cincinnati's defensive coordinator, and Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, and Patrick Mahomes is going to be fascinating.
I got to ask you, I want to go back because you know me, I've got a bunch of friends still down there, and I'm watching Facebook. What is the animosity of everybody's out to get us, everybody's out to screw us, referees suck, Collinsworth sucks, everything sucks?
Well, I think there's a difference between when that comes from fans, and when it does, I think it's kind of fatiguing, and when it comes from players. This team, whether folks on the outside like it or not, they thrive on the notion that they're disrespected. And look, there's a lengthy list of athletes and teams who have used that to fuel them. I watched the college football playoff championship game. Georgia absolutely annihilates TCU. They win their second straight national title. And after the game, I'm watching Georgia players say, well, we proved all the doubters wrong. No one gave us a chance. Nobody believed in us. And I'm going, wait a minute. Georgia, the NFL factory, the team that won it last year, the team that was number one most of the season, was there somebody who wrote that they were going to go 7-5 or something? They were favored literally in every game they played. But as you well know, sometimes players, whether it's real or contrived, will come up with some sort of slight that motivates them, and as a collective unit brings them together. Heck, I watched a 10-part Michael Jordan documentary, which that was kind of the central theme, right? Michael Jordan taking stuff personally, whether the slights were real or contrived, in order to motivate him, in order to give him a little bit of an edge. This Bengals team thrives on such a thing. The whole thing about, the AFC championship game being on a neutral field had Buffalo won, and the NFL selling tickets. Logically, the Bengals sold tickets to the AFC championship game too, in the event that Jacksonville won and Cincinnati hosted. That stuff happens all the time. But there's a difference between reality and the head of an athlete who's trying to find an edge. And this team thrives on it. And I think kind of the cool thing for them is Zach Taylor acknowledged, look, yeah, I scour every corner of the internet trying to find things that I could use to throw to these guys and say, hey, look, here's disrespect. Now, I think this week that card is a little bit more difficult to play because who's not giving them a chance? Vegas right now has them as a slight favorite. They've beaten Kansas City 3 times if you go back to week 18 of last year. So 3 times in basically 12 and a half months. They're coming off their best performance of the season. They've got a quarterback who's in a finalist to be the NFL's MVP. Nobody is really disrespecting them this week, but I can guarantee you there will be something out there that even if it gets misconstrued internally, they will use as added fuel. This team really thrives on that sort of stuff.
Talking with Mo Egger of ESPN Radio out of Cincinnati. So now you go to Patrick Mahomes. He looked okay yesterday, but and one of the things that I did not know is once you get shot up, the next shot you take kind of wears off by halftime. So is the strategy get after him early, see what he can do, if you have to spy him or not, and then unload on him come second half when that thing starts to wear off and when he starts to feel that ankle a little bit more?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that the cold weather obviously really affects that as well. I think what you're going to see is a game plan that early on is designed to confuse him. And let's face it, they've been able to do that. They haven't been able to do it for an entire game. And I don't think you're ever going to do that against Patrick Mahomes. But if you go back to the AFC Championship game last year, second half, thought they did a really good job of throwing him looks that kind of threw him off a little bit. I think you saw some of that early in the game against Kansas City back on December 4th, and I know you saw some of it against Josh Allen last week. And so I think what they're going to do is kind of change up some of the looks that you saw last week against Buffalo, and yet bring pressure from some of the same places. And then I feel like as the game wears on and maybe the pain starts to set in, depending on sort of, how things unfold, I think they're going to bring the heat in the second half of that football game and see if he can make plays with his left, make plays out of that painful high ankle sprain ends up being an issue as the game wears on.
Before I let you go, I got to ask you, because we're picking games last night, and there's a lot of people that you look at it toe-to-toe, and the Bengals have the edge in a lot of different categories. But yet people say, well, 4 times in a row to beat them and 3 times down there. It's kind of like, Kansas City's just due, so I'm going to pick Kansas City. So give me your thoughts. What's the trepidation going into this game just personally for you and that fan base?
Well, I think that the trepidation is the Kansas City Chiefs are really, really good. Yes, the Bengals have had their number, but that's still an A-lister at quarterback who's probably going to be the MVP. The guy that I think is going to be interesting is Isaiah Pacheco. He kind of worries me. Look, if you go back to the playoff game against Baltimore, the Ravens did whatever they wanted to do on the ground. Buffalo was not the sort of team that was going to be able to do that, and the Bengals played from ahead, and they also had long, sustained drives, so Buffalo basically had to throw. I think, though, that if you're Kansas City, what you're looking to do is get some things going on the ground. Obviously, Travis Kelce can be a load, but to me, it's the opponent more than it is any deficiency the Bengals have. I know they really can't beat them. A 4 straight time thing is out there. I think a little bit more mechanically, it's can Kansas City make Cincinnati's offense one-dimensional? Can Cincinnati's patchwork offensive line hold up as well as it did last week? And I tend to believe, if you go back to the game back on December the 4th, Bengals had a key special teams edge as well. Harrison Butker missed a field goal. Punting unit was great that day. Evan McPherson made a big kick. This game probably has a razor-thin margin. It's basically a pick 'em. The Cincinnati continue to have the special teams edge that it's had in postseason games going back to last year. And if the answer is yes, I think if you're a Bengals fan, you're going to feel pretty good about the outcome.
Mo, it's always great. If they win, we will see you in Arizona, okay?
Most definitely. Look forward to it.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon. There you go. Mo Egger, ESPN Radio down in Cincinnati. And he does the show from the Holy Grail right next to Paycor Stadium. He does the show from Twin Peaks. He's got the football show. He does all of that stuff regarding Cincinnati Bengals and Cincinnati Bearcats. And he's always a great wealth of information coming out of the Queen City. So thanks to Mo for joining us for a couple of minutes. Just a good dude, too. You can follow him on Twitter. He's even a better follow over on Instagram if you want to follow him over there as well. Good stuff from him. Going to go ahead and take a quick break. We're kind of going to come back. Got a lot more to get to. Don't forget about our friends at the Milwaukee Admirals. Still playing winning hockey. A lot of promotional stuff going on going into the new year. Get your tickets now, whether it's single game tickets, whether it's a group outing, or you want to buy like one of the end zones, or you want to go see one of the concerts. Check it all out. Go to MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. That is MilwaukeeAdmirals.com.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Even when the weather outside is frightful, your energy bill could be much more delightful. Hi, I'm Gina Della from Pella. Replacing drafty windows and doors can dramatically lower your energy costs. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin offers some of the most energy efficient windows in the industry, designed to keep the cold outside where it belongs. You'll help kick the January blues when you choose to book by the 31st for 0% interest up to 2029. You heard that right. No interest up to the year 2029 if you book by January 31st. Pella's premium wood windows and patio doors feature distinguished craftsmanship and nearly endless possibilities, with maximum design flexibility in dramatic sizes, custom colors, finishes, profiles, product types, and more. Hurry. To get the 0% interest up to 2029, you have to book by January 31st. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, here's Mike Clemens.
The NFL's conference championships are coming up this Sunday. It's the Eagles and the 49ers, followed by the Bengals and Chiefs in Kansas City, where the game time temperature there could be around 22 degrees. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes was able to practice yesterday, despite that sprained ankle he suffered against the Jaguars. How does he feel?
I'm doing good, AFC Championship week, ready to go.
How's the ankle?
It's doing good, I've had a few days of treatment, a few days of rehab. Excited to get on the practice field and kind of test it out and see where I'm at, but it's feeling good so far.
For the second year in a row, the Chiefs and Bengals will play in the AFC Championship game. Are the teams beginning to feel as familiar as divisional opponents? Chiefs head coach Andy Reid.
Yeah, I would say probably both ways. I would say that they know us and we know them. And, we're all searching for that little extra thing that you can throw at them. So we played each other enough to, I'm sure both sides feel that way.
Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow is the first quarterback to beat Mahomes 3 games in a row. This will be the 4th meeting in just 2 years.
Played them twice the last 2 seasons and really basically a month apart each time. We know them, they know us. They have the experience. Team that's been to this game the last 5 seasons, and they've all been in that stadium. So to me, they're still the team to beat, and we're coming for them, but we know it's going to be tough. We know it's going to be hard fought, and we know the kind of players that they have on that side.
That's Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow. I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back to the program. Good to have you. Want to remind you that coming up tomorrow, we're going to be at the Distillery in Grafton. Tomorrow night, or tomorrow afternoon. Looking forward to it. Doors open up at 11. We're on the air at 10, but doors open up at 11. They're serving lunch, and we're going to have Bud Light's going to be on hand, giving away a bunch of tchotchke stuff. We're giving away right then and there. You're going to get registered for, but it's not like we're going to draw it in a month. We're going to draw it that day. So somebody is going to walk away with a 55-inch big screen TV. Wayne Larrivee, the voice of the Packers, is going to join us in the noon hour. Mike Clemens is going to be there on site as well. So we're going to have a great time. Great time tomorrow. And we should have a lot of fun. And Ben, we're also going to continue to talk around the rest of the AFC and the NFC matchups, right? We'll have a couple of guys on regarding the teams.
Yes, working on that part of it.
Perfect. Ben's all over it. There you go. By the way, I got to say happy birthday, 89th birthday to Bob Uecker today. 89th birthday to Bob Uecker. And he's still going. 89th birthday, man. Seems like yesterday I was watching Uke and some of the long time ago, the old, Miller Lite commercials. But yeah, we're looking forward to it. The old commercials. Oh, front row, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I digress. There is an argument going on in the Bud Light live stream. Like people are getting like just back and forth. I hate that. It's like I just want to nobody's like being really derogatory, but it's like just a lot of sarcasm, a lot of Twitter muscles, as I call it, going on. The whole thing with let me say this, and I'm going to say it again, and then we can just put an end to it. I believe 70% of you say trade Rodgers, 70% of me says he's back, he's with the Packers, and they try to run it back. And this whole thing about, well, Rodgers is getting bad. He's bad. He had a bad year. No doubt. But by his standards, he had a bad year. Remember, by his standards, he had a bad year. Overall, statistically speaking, it wasn't a terrible year. It was just by his standards, it wasn't a great year. So is he bad? No, of course not. He had a down season. I 100% agree with that. But in the grand scheme of things, he's still, a decently rated quarterback. His interceptions went up this year. I admit that. But I'm not overly concerned about Aaron Rodgers because the last time everybody doubted him, he bounced back and won back-to-back MVPs. If you think he's done, I think you have missed what Aaron Rodgers' whole career has been all about his entire life. It's all about being the underdog and doubting him and him coming back and making you eat your words. Now, whether that leads to a championship or not, I don't know. But I still think that's just what it is. I still think he comes back. I think he plays for the Packers, and I think he runs it back. And if you think he's done because you're smarter than the average bear, I hope the only litmus test isn't just a Super Bowl next year. We'll talk about that when we come back. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
The number. I think it would definitely things would have to shift.
For now, we wait. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome back. Good to have you. Coming up tomorrow, we are going to be live at this time. The doors will be opening. We'll be at the Distillery in Grafton, Wisconsin. And I'm really looking forward to it. We've got a show tomorrow. Then Wednesday, we're going to be at Fox's down. It's like Greenfield is where we're going to be, right off of 76th Street. And then on a week from Friday, a week from tomorrow, we're going to be at Stoley's Hog Alley. Same thing. We're going to do the lunch show. And then after that, we get off the air, pack it up, and we wing our way to Arizona. And the following Monday, we are going to be live on Radio Row with the build-up for Super Bowl. So looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. Our buddy Dwayne hits me up and says, hey, how old was Brady when he went to Tampa? The reason being is Rodgers too old to switch teams and learn. No, he's only been in Tampa for 3 years, so he was 42. Rodgers is
43.
42, 43. Rodgers is what? 39, going to be 40. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. But I don't think Rodgers wants to play till he's 45. I think it's 41, 42 out. I think that's it. Originally, years ago, he said he wouldn't mind playing into his 40s, as long as he could still play. I think because of everything that's gone on, that's changed. That's changed. I hope it has anyway, because I don't want to go through this for the next 3 to 5 years. Not that it's going to matter, because he probably won't be with the Packers anyway then. But you know what I mean? I hope it's not going to be like this for a while. Again, all the breaking news of the day was Nathaniel Hackett announced that he is going to take the job as the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets. So naturally, everybody went crazy. Everybody went nuts. Oh my God, here you go, Nathaniel Hackett going there with Saleh. Saleh's a guy that, obviously knows Hackett, and Hackett knows LaFleur, and all round and round and round we go. And they're going to end up having inside talks about what they're going to offer. And they're going to bring in Aaron Rodgers and blah, blah, blah. And no, I don't think so. Because Shanahan knew LaFleur and made the call and said, hey, we want to trade for Rodgers. Or would you be interested? And that's really kind of what started all of this. But one of the most magnanimous moments in Packers history was in recent history when the drafting of Jordan Love was made. That was the monkey wrench thrown into the gears of the Green Bay Packers. It may turn out to be the right pick, but it might be the right pick at the wrong time. But when you think about it, when you think about all this stuff, I had a guy come up to me last night. We were sitting there talking a little bit as I was packing everything up. And he said, how do we get here? And I said, well, it's easy. They picked Jordan Love. That was it. 2019, the Packers looked at Aaron Rodgers and they said, boy, he had kind of a rough year. Maybe we should probably take a quarterback. Maybe we need to start thinking about that. Maybe Father Time's grabbing him. And so Jordan Love was taken 26th overall in the first round of the 2020 draft. And that then, since then, has been the monkey wrench that has really grinded the gears of the Green Bay Packers. That's it. Devontae says, hey, Unit, what if they get a really good tight end and they get another good wide receiver? Devondre Campbell comes in. Not Devondre Campbell, you're talking Hopkins. Comes in and plays extremely well. Then what? If you do that, you've got a team. Your offense is completely back on track. Now, again, he's got to be healthy because he's been beat up. He hasn't been able to stay healthy continuously. But if Hopkins could stay healthy with the young guys that you have, and if you get a beast of a tight end, there's no reason that this team would, unless, Rodgers goes down, there's no reason this team would then falter, in my opinion. You have two good running backs. You'd have a good downfield threat. I think Christian Watson will continue to develop. You'll have a veteran on the other side. and then a tight end to go along with it. You know, the guy out of Notre Dame is the one everybody's talking about, who they feel is going to be available, sitting there about 15. Not that I really want to get too deep into the draft yet, but absolutely. Just a pass-catching tight end. And it doesn't have to be a Travis Kelce or George Kittle. You're just talking about a good pass-catching tight end. You know, a Schultz out of, Dallas. A Hurst out of Cincinnati, that kind of guy. Just be able to get you the ball with good hands. That's it. And it changes the offense. I don't want to say dramatically, but it certainly changes the offense in a very positive way. Let's go to the phone calls. Let's go to Louis, listening to us in Eau Claire. Louis, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Unit, I'm doing well. And yourself?
I'm doing great today. What's up?
Good. I just had a question. Like you said, kind of the Jordan Love pick kind of threw a wrench into everything. With Gutekunst and the Packers brain trust, how do you think in a perfect ideal world, how do you think they envisioned this transition going? When do you think that they thought that Jordan Love would be ready to take over? And how do you think they thought they were going to get Aaron Rodgers? Any sort of as to how they wanted this to go in a perfect world? Because I can't imagine that this is how they wanted this kind of vagueness. I would have thought by now they would have wanted to transfer to Jordan Love. So does that mean they don't think he's good enough? Because I can't imagine if they could get rid of Rodgers that they wouldn't. That's just my opinion.
No, that's a great question. I appreciate the phone call. I look at this, and I've said it all along. I think they thought Rodgers was on the downside. And what happened was Rodgers got pissed and came out smoking 2 years in a row and won back-to-back MVPs. And not only was the drafting of Jordan Love the igniter to all of this, but then Rodgers played spectacular football. Now, faltered in the end, obviously, but played spectacular football. And that was the fly in the ointment, because otherwise you could have moved on, because you had that contract out coming into last season. That was the year that if you were going to move on, you could move on. And they did not feel, in my opinion, that Jordan Love was a real guy, was the real deal. But what they wanted to do is draft Love, let him watch Rodgers for 2 years, and then make the transition. And what happened was Rodgers won back-to-back MVPs. He just lit up the league. And they're like, we can't kick a Hall of Famer to the curb. We just, Hall of Famers are few and far between, man. We just can't do it. We got to bring him back. So they brought him back, gave him the money. Last year stunk. So what does my gut tell me? And I just had somebody, Bart Van Voris over on Twitter just said, what's your gut tell you? I've said all along, 70% of me says he's coming back. He wants to end his career with the Green Bay Packers. He wants to run it back at least one more time. He wants to kind of prove all the doubters wrong. And that's what he has thrived on his entire career. You doubt me? You think I'm done? You think my career's over? You think I'm a bad quarterback now? Like I've lost it? No, he comes back and I just get the sense he's going to light it up next year. Going to light it up. Now, does that mean they're going to win a championship? I don't know. A lot of things have to happen. But does it mean that they're going to be a better football team? Absolutely. I believe it. I feel it in my bones. I can't quantify it. For everybody that wants to give me all the statistics from this season, completion percentage, completion throws into windows, and all the Pro Football Focus stuff, I get it. I completely understand it. And what I also tell people is, you're describing, if you look at the numbers and you look at the rankings, he's in the top 12 in many different categories, as rated by Pro Football Focus. So a down year for Aaron Rodgers still puts him in the top 12. Do you realize what you're kicking to the curb? And if he comes back, and he doesn't necessarily have to have an MVP year, but could he play a lot better? No thumb injury, stay clean, offensive line solidified, no more injuries, no more appendicitis, a year removed from the ACL from Elton Jenkins. Zach Tom getting the starting nod coming into training camp next year over at the right tackle position with Runyon and Myers in the middle. You got your starting five. Now you just need to piecemeal, depth there. You got two good running backs. Maybe you pick up a tight end in the offseason. You pick up another wideout, trade for a wideout. You've got a few guys that are pretty solid already, and maybe pick up another wideout along the way, in the draft, and then fortify the trenches big time defensively. And suddenly you look solid again. You look solid again. I still don't like the fact that they kept Joe Barry. I didn't think that they would keep him. I really didn't. It was disappointing that they did. Phyllis, I understand it when you talk to people in the organization and they say, you don't want to keep changing things up and mixing guys up and guys having to learn systems and, because it takes a while. You really don't get a feel for what it is you're doing until you go do it. And you don't want to waste 2, 3, 4 games, 5 games early in the season trying to get your defense right. So you run back what you know. You tell your guy to get aggressive, and you go from there. Your special teams got better. Now, whether or not you bring Mason Crosby back, I don't know. Very accurate this year, but and obviously Keyshawn Nixon's a guy you're going to pay. You finally found yourself a returner, but things, you're not far away, but you're not as close as you want to be. You're right there in the middle of the pack right now. You're teetering, and you get a couple of players, you get a couple of guys healthy, and things can change. So that's just my feeling. That's my thought. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. And there's other people that obviously have different opinions, and, Matt's already over, and Matt in Phoenix is saying they're not going to win more than 8 games if they run it back. Matt, for all the talking that you're doing, I certainly hope that you come back here if you're wrong. I really do. You are so sure of yourself on so many things. I really hope you come back if you're wrong. Vince says we're going to miss him when he's gone. Jake says it's only going to be greener if Jordan Love is the real deal. If he's not, then what? And that's the other question. If he's not, if Jordan Love is average to above average, I'm not going to give him the negative, okay, but the average to above average, you better have a lot of good defensive players. A lot of good defensive players. You need a top 5 defense. If Jordan, by the time Jordan Love takes the reins, you're probably going to have a down year because of salary cap ramifications. And then after that, you have got to build up an incredibly stout defense. The problem is that you're going to be paying Jordan Love, and then you got to know what you got in him. You're probably going to pay him before you know what you have. So it may not be a longer term contract. It may be a short term contract. He may not even want that. He may want to just move on because of the situation he's in. Then again, he doesn't have much leverage because he hasn't done anything. But Jordan Love is, you like I said, you better pray he's the real deal, because otherwise you sink 2, 3, 4 years in him contractually. And if he's not, oof. Welcome to 1981. 877-867-1670. Find us. Please feel free to give us a shout. Our friends over at Quick Trip. I'll tell you this. They have the take-home meals. And I was coming home yesterday. Like I said, I was just feeling really bad. I just needed something to eat. And I just stopped at Quick Trip real quick. And their fried chicken is amazing. Now, I wasn't feeling it, so I only ate one of the chicken tenders. But, oh, my God, their fried chicken is awesome. I'd put it up against anything. KFC, Popeyes, Churches, you name it. Their fried, it's the real deal. If you haven't tried it, and Kristen's kids are all about chicken tenders all the time. Chicken tenders or chicken nuggets. And so we went to Quick Trip one time and just put them on the plate. Didn't, because they're under the mantra of gas station food. Come on. So we got Quick Trip, put the chicken tenders on a plate, and they're like, oh, my God, where'd you get this? That's how good they are. Got them from Quick Trip. Really? Yeah. I'm telling you, that fried chicken at Quick Trip, that's the real deal, man. Check in, stop in at Quick Trip, use your Quick Rewards card. Got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
This January, hit the road to riches at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Play each day for thousands in free play and entries into the big $200,000 grand finale. The more you play, the closer you get to big money. So, hit the road, Jack, or Jill, or whatever your name might be. The road to riches, only at Potawatomi. For more details, visit paysbig.com/road2riches. Must be 21 years old to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
On the corner, don't forget about our friends at Kane and Kane Jewelry. They're in West Bend. Let them rock your world. Kane and Kane, Koehn, KaneJewelry.com. That's KaneJewelry.com. And like I said, with Valentine's Day right around the corner, you want to learn what you're buying, how to buy. And they have a huge selection, so you can go online and check it out, or you can just stop into the store. And yes, it is very much worth the drive to West Bend, Wisconsin. And it is a small family-owned business, but they just do it right. They're just really good people. Get a hold of Andy Kane and Jen and everybody that works there. Great people. But you can also, if you're a dude and you're sitting there thinking, what do I buy? How do I buy this? He's got a podcast called Buy Like a Guy. And you can follow it. Go to Kane, Koehn, KaneJewelry.com. And at the bottom of the page, there's a link there to Buy Like a Guy, and you can watch the podcast and see, they do whiskey tastings and bourbon tastings and all that kind of stuff too. But you can check all that stuff out. So Kane Jewelry, Koehn, Kane and Kane Jewelers in West Bend, or go to KaneJewelry.com and let them rock your world. Good stuff. 877-867-1670. We know Nathaniel Hackett is now on his way to New York, to the big green apple, because he's going to be taking on the offensive coordinator role now with Robert Saleh with the New York Jets. And this was Aaron Rodgers a couple of years ago talking about his affection for Nathaniel Hackett. Take a listen.
But Hack has been a really important part of our culture change and a part of our success on offense. I love him. Hope he doesn't go anywhere unless I do.
There you go. So that was throwing shade back then. Now you've got Robert Saleh talking about the hiring of Nathaniel Hackett. Here you go.
It was important for us to hire an experienced guy, someone who's put it together several times, not at just one spot, but several spots. And but it didn't close the door. We interviewed a lot of potential first time play callers too that were very impressive. But when you look at Nathaniel and this team, we knew we were going to come in with. We know we're going to have a basically revamped offensive line. We've been talking about getting a veteran quarterback in here if we can.
What? Wait, what?
Line. We've been talking about getting a veteran quarterback in here if we can.
Oh. Holy crap. Holy crap. Let the machine begin to spin. Here we go. I was just, you know what? I was waking up this morning. I was thinking to myself, I'm a little under the weather. I just want to take it easy today. And then all this breaks. Hell breaks loose. Nathaniel Hackett on his way to the Jets. And then Robert Saleh had that to say. We've been thinking about getting in a veteran quarterback. How about that? There you go. Ben, is that yet another pair of pants today?
I've actually thought a little deeper about this and get the conspiracy theory alarms out. He might not be talking about Aaron Rodgers.
No.
There's another highly successful veteran quarterback that Nathaniel Hackett previously worked with when he was in Green Bay as a backup and in Jacksonville in 2017. That is one Blake Bortles. This could all be for naught, Bill. We could just be wasting our time on the airwaves. Oh, Rodgers to the Jets. Greeny wants him in his house. Will Rodgers stand up to the New York media? Oh, it could just be Bortles. It could be that simple.
Kevin says, what if it's Tom Brady? What if they go after Tom Brady? Brady then comes back to the division. Tom Brady on a one-year deal. They could afford him in New York. You're talking about one of the best of the best to teach the idiot that you have for a current quarterback how to be a quarterback. They got a really good defensive line, some good offensive weapons. They're a team that all they need is that next piece, and maybe they could actually be on their way to a deep postseason run. What if it's Tom Brady? Then can you imagine that?
Honestly, yeah. I think I could imagine it.
Uh-huh.
I've kind of just been trained, gone are the days of it being hard to imagine quarterbacks in other jerseys.
Mm-hmm. Right?
The roster's set. And, the biggest variable there is he's a free agent, so they don't have to trade for him.
That's what I'm saying. They don't have to give up anything other than money. They can pay him a chunk of change. He can still leave enough in salary on the table. They can continue to fortify the team without worrying about it. Would it make more sense for Tom Brady to go to New York than it would for Aaron Rodgers to go to New York? Then they don't have to worry about it. Think of that. Think of that. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. People going crazy now. The whole world's going crazy. We're losing our damn minds. Candy says, oh my God, my brain hurts. Joe says, please stop. The merry-go-round is spinning so fast. I can't look. I'm going to throw up. Oh, well, there you go. Don't throw up, though. It's only midday. You got to get through the rest of the day. Walter says, oh, my God, you just blew my mind. Never thought of that. I always considered whether or not Tampa Tom was going to go back to the Buccaneers or just retire. But now I think about it, and that might be a good situation for him to go into if he thinks he's going to win another Super Bowl. Can you imagine going to the Jets, winning in that division, playing the Patriots twice, getting that team to a postseason, and winning a Super Bowl in New York? Think about that. And, oh, by the way, you get to kind of, help Zach Wilson along the way. And you talk about a guy that would yell at Zach Wilson, like, knock it off, you're an idiot. That'd be Tom Brady. Oof. Oof. The conspiracy theories are running wild now. Crazy. Gary says, stop. I'm going to throw up. What? Why is everybody throwing up? That's what I want to know. Randy says, I don't think they're just a quarterback away. They need some more pieces. And if you took Brady, he at least would leave enough money left on the table so they could go out and fortify a couple of pieces around him. And then Peter says, no, I still think it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. Packers are going to trade him away, and then they're going to get out from underneath the salary cap jail within a year, and then it's going to be Jordan Love's time. I'm like I said, I still think in my heart of hearts, it's going to be Aaron Rodgers under center in Green Bay. Let's go to Tony, listening to us in Sussex. Tony, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Hi, Bill. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. What's going on?
Been listening to this all week, and listening to McAfee and everyone else, but my take on it is he will stay in Green Bay. They want him back. From what I read between the lines with the interview with McAfee, he would like to be back. I think he's excited about the receivers of what they could accomplish and what the team can accomplish next year. I think the Packers are they'll be in a reloading, but not a rebuild phase. And to me, that's a big part of it also. He won't want to be back if they say, well, we're going to rebuild, we're tearing it down and everything. He doesn't want to be part of that. And for the New York Jets, they're not there yet. I don't care who you put under center with them. I still don't think they would be there yet. To take Rodgers, for Rodgers to take them any further, that he could take Green Bay next year. And when it comes to Tom Brady, my last thing is I don't think Tom Brady got the skills he used to have to take them to a Super Bowl. I just don't. He didn't look good most of the time this year.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the phone call. No, I agree with that. I think Tom Brady, it's different. Why do people think that Brady can still play, but Rodgers can't? Brady's 45. And Father Time, once he gets you, he gets you. There's not much more you can do. Brady's lost a step, and he never had a step. If you watched him play in that game in the postseason against the Cowboys, he looked terrible. His throws were off. His footwork was slow. He didn't look good. Just didn't look good at all. And me personally, I think Tom should retire. But we'll wait and see. But I think he should retire. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. We would love to hear from you. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at New Mound Medical, treating guys with ED all over. It doesn't matter just the state of Wisconsin, but it's well beyond the borders as well. All you got to do is call 414-455-4451. Live in Arizona? Call them. Live in Florida? Call them. Live in Milwaukee? Call them. Live in Madison? Call them. 414-455-4451. They will get you in touch with the location nearest you. 414-455-4451. If you're just dragging, if you're slow, if you're just like, God, I can't get motivated. Could be low T. If you're over the age of 30, it takes you maybe 10, 15 minutes to go in and get your numbers checked. That's it. Or if you're thinking to yourself, holy mackerel, the snow's out. I can wear big baggy clothes now, but once summer gets here and t-shirt season gets here, I want to look better, feel better. they can help you out. They've got an all new, renovated, so to speak, all-in-one weight loss program. It's fantastic. And I've gotten a lot of information on it. I'm excited about it. I'm going to start on it the week we get back from Super Bowl, and I do the before and after pictures and such. But I've been taking what prior to that, what they do, and it's been working. Like I said the other day, I was down 8 pounds. I think I'm even more today, just feeling like it. But get a hold of New Mail Medical. New Mail Medical, 414-455-4451. That's 414-455-4451. That's New Mail Medical. Get a hold of them and tell them we sent you. And let's do this. We're going to step away, take a quick break. We'll come back. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Even when the weather outside is frightful, your energy bill could be much more delightful. Hi, I'm Gina Della from Pella. Replacing drafty windows and doors can dramatically lower your energy costs. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin offers some of the most energy efficient windows in the industry, designed to keep the cold outside where it belongs. You'll help kick the January blues when you choose to book by the 31st for 0% interest up to 2029. You heard that right. No interest up to the year 2029 if you book by January 31st. Pella's premium wood windows and patio doors feature distinguished craftsmanship and nearly endless possibilities, with maximum design flexibility in dramatic sizes, custom colors, finishes, profiles, product types, and more. Hurry. To get the 0% interest up to 2029, you have to book by January 31st. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. We are going to be at the Distillery in Grafton tomorrow from 10 to 2, but 11 a.m. is when the doors open, and we'll be in there set up, and the show's going to be taking place, so come on out tomorrow. And I just talked with Mallory and Tim up there, as a matter of fact, during the break, and the 55-inch big screen has been delivered. It's sitting there, and it's ready for somebody to take it home. So between that, Mike Clemens is going to be live with us tomorrow. Wayne Larrabee, the voice of the Packers, is going to be live with us tomorrow in person. So come on out. I'm looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun. Don't forget our friends over there at Four Seasons Island Resort. A new destination. If you're looking for a place to go and you've never been there, maybe for a corporate meeting, a conference, a romantic getaway with, obviously, you've got Valentine's Day coming right around the corner. They have over 10,000 square feet of banquet space. They got a brand new, they renovated the pool and kind of refinished everything, the hot tubs, the saunas. They've got bars upstairs, downstairs. The Diamond Room has terrific food. They've got an old-fashioned ice cream parlor. They've got a game room and a video arcade game room for kids, an old-fashioned video arcade game room, which actually, when I go there, I spend some time in there. It just takes me back to my youth, if you will. But it's a tremendous place. Beautiful, old, historic building on the island. You cross that old train trestle to get there where, there's no room to get out of the car. You're going over across the old bridge, across the river, and you end up on the island. It's fantastic. Get a hold of our friend Barb, B-A-R-B. Get a hold of our girl Barb, 715-938-5110, 715-938-5110. And just tell her the Bill Michaels 15 and you want the discount. They'll give you a discount of 15% off. Again, Bill Michaels 15, but call Barb, B-A-R-B, at 715-938-5110, 715-938-5110, Four Seasons Island Resort, and also Pine Mountain Resort. You can go skiing up there in the UP. They own both of them. Great people and a great place. 877-867-1670. Let's get back to the phone calls. Talk to Andy listening to us in Altoona. Andy, how you doing today, man? What's up?
Hey, so obviously a lot of talk has been about the Rodgers drama. And, it's just like Favre all over again. I just wanted to add a perspective to this. So is there any drama, any talk about Josh Allen retiring if he's going to make a decision? No, because he's young and he's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any, was there any real drama about whether or not Roethlisberger was going to retire? No, because he sucked, right?
Right.
Does anyone care if Matt Ryan retires? No. So the only reason there's this story with Favre, with Rodgers, with Brady, is because they're old enough that people usually retire at this age from playing quarterback, but they're still good. So I feel like it's not really fair to say it's drama. I mean, it's a situation like you're going to have the situation if someone's old and they're still good. Every year is going to be a decision whether they should play or not. If they sucked and they couldn't play at a high level, there wouldn't be this talk, So I feel like no matter what, there's going to be this drama because there has to be a decision made, but it's only because they're good enough to keep playing.
Absolutely, 100%, because they've been superstars. They've earned that right to kind of make a decision to walk away from the game and kind of get themselves together, see if physically they still want to compete. Because if even like Matthew Stafford, there was this talk about, would Matthew Stafford make it his last year? He's not old. He's not. I mean, he's older than 30, but he was 33 when he went to the Rams last year. He's 35 now.
Yeah, for him, he's just been so beat up that's kind of kind of like Troy Aikman. He retired, like he wasn't necessarily as old, but he's been beat up. So now he got that decision. Should he make that decision? But people still think he could play at a high level. So I feel like it's not really Rodgers' fault, Favre's fault, Brady's fault. Like it's because they're good. I don't really blame him for having to make that decision. So
nope, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the phone call. He's right. Most of these other quarterbacks, you're done. You're traded away. You're cut. You're a salary cap ramification. Matty Ice is not Matty Ice, and he hasn't been since the Patriots came back in the largest comeback in Super Bowl history and beat their ass. And ever since then, his career has gone down the crapper. Derek Carr. Nobody's talking about Derek Carr. There's more people talking about Jimmy Garoppolo than there are Derek Carr. You talk about a guy that's fallen off. I mean, falling off the radar is Derek Carr. Not a whole lot of people. He'll get picked up. Somebody will grab him in the offseason. But there's nobody talking about Derek Carr. And here's the other thing, Ben. Would you want Dak Prescott?
No.
Because they're actually, Micah Parsons obviously made the comments on Twitter saying, hey, look at 3 of the 4 quarterbacks right now are on rookie contracts and what that means to a team. So he's not necessarily, I guess you could take it as a backhanded slap to Dak Prescott to say, hey, dude, you're taking all the money and I'm throwing you some shade because if you gave some money back and you were better, then we would probably be sitting here on an NFC Championship weekend rather than sitting at home wondering what the hell happened because you played so poorly. But you look at these really good quarterbacks that are on rookie deals, on these low-end income deals, so to speak, and you go, okay, that's your window. Because once quarterbacks make more than 13.5% of your team's total salary cap, nobody's winning. Because you always have that one piece you couldn't get because you couldn't afford them, and that leaves you the Achilles heel. Unless, of course, you hit on a draft. Now, think about this. Since November 1st of last year, now remember, Patrick Mahomes is making some good money, okay? It's not like he's bereft of funds, okay? But since November 1st of last year for Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs are 26-5. And in their last 31 games, only 5 losses. 4 of those losses were by 3 points or less. The other loss was by 4 points. But 3 of those 5 losses were to Cincinnati. That's incredible. So when you talk about quarterbacks and money and what it means, and and when the quarterbacks, like we look at Joe Burrow, we look at Jalen Hurts, we look at Brock Purdy, we look at all of that right now, and you say, man, what do you got out of your quarterback? You think about Patrick Mahomes, like this year right now, in the 2022 season. Like next year, they're going to adjust his cap number. But if the Kansas City Chiefs should get to and win a Super Bowl, it will be the first time in NFL history that a quarterback making more than 13.5% of their team's total salary cap will win. He makes 17.16% of his team's total salary cap. Patrick Mahomes does. And next year it goes up even more. Next year it goes up to, I think it's like 20 something percent. It's almost 21%. Patrick, they'll probably adjust that next year. But 20.95% he'll be next year of a cap hit against the team's total salary cap. Think about that. Patrick Mahomes will be the first quarterback this year, if indeed they can win it, to make more than 13.5% of his team's total salary cap. Now, we are in a quarterback-driven league, and I kind of intimated to this a couple of years ago when we talked about this. I said it's probably going to happen because there has been such a reliance on the passing game, and the game has changed so much from where it was in early Super Bowl era and when salary cap era. But the last guy that's made that kind of money, one was Tom Brady, and then before that, it was Steve Young. Tom Brady was 13.5. Steve Young with 13.1%. That's it. I mean, that alone, monetarily speaking, if I'm a quarterback going in and I'm ready to make my next deal, I want to get paid. But if you have to balance the difference between getting paid and legacy, you got to pay attention to that number, man. You got to pay attention to that number. 877-867-1670. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, here's Mike Clemens.
The NFL's conference championships are coming up this Sunday. It's the Eagles and the 49ers in Philadelphia, followed by the Bengals and Chiefs in Kansas City. The forecast for Philly calls for mostly cloudy skies and temperatures in the 40s. Tight end Dallas Goedert says the Eagles must be at their best, even though they had the best record in the NFC this season.
You never know when your last play is going to be. You just kind of got to leave it all out there, because the last thing you want to do is wake up on Monday morning and say, man, I wish I would have tried a little bit harder on this play. If I would have chased that down, maybe I could have made something happen. So this time of the year, it's definitely you just lay it all out there because, it could be your last time going out there for a very long time.
The 49ers offense is loaded with weapons for quarterback Brock Purdy, Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni.
And they got a lot of guys. They got Kittle. They have McCaffrey. They got Ayuk. They got Samuel, right? They got a lot of guys that can change the game at those skill positions. They got a great offensive line. They got a quarterback that's doing his job to get the ball to him. That presents a lot of issues, right? And so we're going to just have to be sound with what we do, but we got good playmakers too, right? And our guys, our good players are going to have to play good against their good players.
The last time these two teams met in the postseason was in 1996 when Steve Young and the 49ers beat Ty Detmer and the Birds 14-0 on a rainy, windy day. But this is a much different Eagles team. 49ers tight end George Kittle.
The Eagles, they're pretty top tier, so it's going to be wonderful. I know how much the fans love their opposing team and all the fans. So it's going to be really fun. And it's going to be cold and violent, and it's going to be a blast.
That's the 49ers' George Kittle. I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
Put in the pocket. How we looking? How we looking? I don't care how sick you are. You hear some buckwheat Zydeco, you got to move. You got to move. You know what, Ben? When you and I play golf, I hope you like Zydeco music because I crank it up in the golf cart.
Goodness. All right.
Just an FYI.
Noted.
Do you play music when you're golfing?
Sometimes. I usually walk. To become this might usually the summer. I usually just listen to the.
Okay.
There might be baseball on, talk radio, things of that nature. Something calm, something soothing.
Okay. No, I don't listen to talk radio. I just put music on. I usually just crank it up. And it's not all Zydeco all the time, but there is some buckwheat Zydeco in my playlist.
I imagine the Bill Michaels playlist is just our collection of bumper music.
No, it's pretty diverse. I've got, it's kind of some of our bumper music, but it's not. There's a lot more to it than that. Our bumper music needs to be updated too. It's not that we need to update it. It's we need to add to it. We need to expand our repertoire. Maybe we'll start taking requests on the hotline, something like that. Hey, our friends at Kunis RV, go to KUNES, go to KunisRV.com. Kunis is Wisconsin's fastest growing RV dealer, and they have RV shows coming up. Go to KunisRV.com to see where the RV shows are going to be in your area. But if you're looking for Jayco, Alliance, Coachman, Forest River, Gulfstream, Nexus Store, whatever it happens, whatever your heart desires, or just go take a look around and find some of the things that you would like. It's pretty cool now because I know what I do and what I don't like. Because having RVs now for I think 5 or 6 years, you kind of get a sense for the good and the bad and the way things are built and how they should be built and the little things that you don't realize. So hey, we're going to do a show, I think, at one of the RV shows. I'm going to talk to the guys at Kunis because they give us the beginner cruiser. So we're going to do one of our shows from their event, and we'll let you know when and where. But go to Kunis, KUNES, KunisRV.com. That is KunisRV.com, and get in touch with them. Let's go back to the phone calls. Let's go to Mike listening to us in Cudahy. Mike, welcome to the program, man. What's going on, bud?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Just a quick take on this never-ending Rodgers saga. First and foremost, Rodgers has done a couple things. First, he's ripped a page out of the book from Brett Favre's Diva book. Number two, he's done something that Brett Favre never did, which was hold the Packers hostage with his salary. Here's my take. Rodgers is in the driver's seat. He can elect to A, retire, B, return to the Packers, or C, get traded. My honest take on it, and I want to be positive, I think it'd be great for all parties if he just retired or he gets traded so we get something for him, and then we turn another page in the book for Jordan Love. I think that would be good for all parties interested because of the fact that it's going to be very hard to keep Love, I think, for a fourth year without playing. And I think it's about time now. I think he's got the system down. I think he's been tutored by Rodgers, and I think he'd do really well. We got to give him a chance, just like we did when Rodgers took over for Favre. But I definitely think that it's time. And hey, Insanity's doing the same thing over and over again. I mean, there have been so many perfect storms where we choked in the first playoff game. It's pathetic. I don't think that there's going to be that much of a difference. And if Rodgers does return, Bill, he better darn sure go to those OTAs, because he didn't do it last year. He's supposed to be a leader. He's getting paid a lot of money. That does not leave a lot of options open for the Packers to get him the weapons that he thinks he needs, or that we think we need. And that's about it, man. You have a good day. Thank you.
Appreciate it, buddy. Talk to you later. That's Mike and Cudahy. Here's a question for you. Why do people think Jordan Love is the real deal? Ben, is it just because we saw him play in that Philadelphia game? Throw 9 passes in 2 series?
I think it could be a combination of that. It is the language has definitely shifted coming out of the organization. Not that he is it, but it has definitely gotten more positive than in years past. It could be the fact that, Rodgers sees the Packers going younger as a real chance here. And I don't think he would see that if he didn't see good things in Love. I don't know. It's also the unknown of it. And, what it could look like. I think people are optimistic. After 3 years, like we've seen the Packers go and do this again. Not that he will be Rodgers, but there have definitely been improvements. So people, I think, are banking on those improvements being legitimate.
People are banking on him to be the guy that they saw in 2 series late in the Philadelphia game. With a team playing soft defense, hitting guys over the middle, making good decisions, don't get me wrong, but that's what they're banking on. And I don't know. We got to shift away from this real quick. Tim, I apologize. Come back to us in about 20 minutes. We got to talk a little Bucks basketball. Jim Owczarski, he's going to be joining us. Our buddy Jim, he's going to talk some Bucks basketball. We have not talked any Bucks here as of late, and we need to, because the Bucks heading towards the All-Star break, and then after that, this team, it's been up, it's been down, it's been banged up. Guys haven't been playing. Guys coming back from injury. Let's talk about how good the Bucks actually are. Do the Bucks have a championship in them? Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Scoring 33 points, grabbing 14 rebounds. Pat Connaughton had 19 points and 12 boards. Chris Middleton gave the team 10 points off the bench in his second game back from injury. Bucks will now hit the road to face Indiana tomorrow night.
For nearly 40 years, ABC of Wisconsin has been helping men and women transform themselves into well-paid, productive members of their construction teams. Today, we have 2,000 active apprentices in 10 different skilled trade programs, and we educate individuals in more trades than anyone else. To get your career started, go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Former Packers offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett has a new job. The former Denver head coach is the new offensive coordinator with the Jets. It's notable because New York is one of the teams considered to be a possibility as a trade partner if the Packers and Aaron Rodgers decide to go their separate ways this offseason. Rodgers famously said he never wanted Hackett to leave Green Bay unless he went somewhere else too. Rodgers still hasn't decided whether he will return for another season or whether he will retire after 18 seasons with the Packers. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Welcome back to the program. We are glad to have you. They have won 4 of their last 5, but it has not been steady, not been easy. It's been a team that defensively, they have allowed numerous 20-plus point leads slip through their fingers. They have had guys that have been banged up. They've been up, they've been down. And to talk more about the Milwaukee Bucks, our buddy Jim Owczarski, the Journal Sentinel, joining us here on the hotline. Jim, how you doing, pal?
I'm good, Bill. How are you?
I'm good. Give me your assessment of this team, where they're at right now.
Well, I mean, you are kind of what your record is at this point, and yeah, they're one of the top teams in the East. However, you know, they've been 5 games over 500, I think, now since that 9-0 start, and you know, for a little bit, Bill, you know, they were about a 500 team. And while that's below expectation, I think you can zoom out and say, okay, wow, they, you know, their big 3 had played, you know, at that point, 5 games together. Drew Holiday was playing but was ill. So I feel like they had earned a little more grace than they were given, considering the circumstance. But I definitely understood some frustration and or concern. But no, I feel like, I mean, this Bobby Portis thing is just unfortunate, but I feel like if their 5 are together, along with Pat Connaughton and Joe Ingles coming off the bench, you know, they should hit a streak here, Bill. They should, in my opinion.
Bobby Portis out for a couple of weeks with the knee/ankle injury. And Bobby Portis, from what I've watched, and I've said it all along, Bobby Portis is, he's the energy guy. He's the guy that people love. He's the guy. He's not dynamic and spectacular. He's just the energy guy. And my paranoia when it comes to watching this team, specifically in the second half of ball games, my God, Jim, you just watch them fritter away big leads. Nobody's playing defense. You see Budenholzer's frustration. I mean, that guy's aged probably 20 years in the last about 2 months. Now without Bobby Portis, what do they do? Who's the energy guy?
That's a good question. I mean, I think it all starts with your best players. And now, while Bobby Portis in his role is the one who subs for Giannis, I mean, it's got to start with the big 3. And now that Chris Middleton, look, 15 minutes the other night, clearly after what happened last time, they're going to ease him back from 15 to 20 to 25 to 5. I mean, who knows, right? But he's out on the court. And I think it may not be the flexing, it may not be the you know, high-fiving the fans that Bobby Portis does, but I feel like you can have energy in different ways, and that's when your best players have to do it. And perhaps, Bill, look, the big 3 in reality aren't going to play together a ton until the playoffs. What fans don't remember, because Chris has been out for so long, you stagger the minutes. Giannis goes to the bench, Chris and Drew handle the situation, and vice versa, right? So I feel like that's what they're going to have to lean on, because that sort of overt emotional aspect, I don't think that's replaceable. I mean, that's Bobby's lane, right, Bill? Right. So it'd be folly to think someone else is going to sort of just do that. So I feel it has to come with, quite frankly, excellent play from your most excellent players.
Now the premise, when I start to talk Bucks, and man, Bucks fans are adamant and they get all over me, but don't worry about it. Once the playoffs get here, they're going to flip the switch. Can this team flip the switch?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, it's look, they won a championship with this core. That's the expectation. But 2 years ago, these guys all played.
Right.
So in terms of flipping a switch, I don't know if that's the right word. I feel like they deserve the ability to put it together. Bill, maybe that's the right phrase, because I don't think this was a team. Look, they didn't load manage. I mean, Giannis and his knees are one thing, but Chris and Drew and Brook Lopez play a lot of basketball when they're healthy. So I feel like as long as they play games together here, Bill, and find a rhythm, I think Joe Ingles is important in all of this discussion. So yeah, I don't know if it's flipping a switch so much as can they play extended time together here in these final 34 games? And maybe that's a dimmer. That's like sliding the dimmer switch up as opposed to just flipping something on.
Give me your thoughts on Grayson Allen. One night you watch him and man, he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. And then the next night he's coming in with very big clutch threes and dropping it from almost anywhere. He has had somewhat of an up and down season, right?
I think offensively, he probably hasn't been as consistent as he would like. And yet you look it up and there he is shooting about 40% from three. I do feel defensively, Bill, he's been better. I think the fact Mike Budenholzer has put him on the likes of Kyle Kuzma and Jimmy Butler and some of these bigger wings when Holiday has been out shows a little bit of faith that Budenholzer doesn't show everyone, right? that aren't his best players. So Grayson, I think, I feel like he's caught in this strange spot, Bill, of trying to be better than the offensive player we saw in Boston, right? Where okay, space the floor, stand out there for threes, be ready for threes. Well, once that broke down and Boston wasn't going to give him that, and not just him, Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, the same, they all got stuck, right? And nobody could score. So I think this year he's tried to put the ball on the floor, get to the paint, cut, try to create some extra offense where maybe that hasn't led to the same rhythms in shooting. So it goes back to the building toward a better playoff performance. We have to see. But I think that's why we haven't seen Grayson maybe be as explosive at times or hit 5-6 threes. I think they are trying to do more than just stand around because clearly that didn't work last year.
Talking with Jim Owczarski of the Journal Sentinel covering the Milwaukee Bucks. Bucks right now third in the East, only a half game behind Philadelphia, 3.5 behind the best record in basketball. That's the Boston Celtics. Give me your thoughts on Nwora. When I kind of mention energy, he doesn't play a ton of minutes. He only plays anywhere from 8 to 15 to 20 minutes sometimes, depending on the night. But there's a little bit of energy there. Nwora comes in and gives you kind of something off of the bench when you talk about a reserve player that can at least fortify you for a couple of minutes.
He's interesting. I mean, we're talking about trust on defense. Look, there's been times Mike Budenholzer has been very complimentary of Jordan Nwora's efforts on both ends of the floor, and then there's times where obviously Nwora doesn't play, and I think part of that is due to health and space. I mean, Middleton's been out. Joe Ingles was out. I mean, there's your 6'7" wing, right? Pat Connaughton missed 15 games. So now he's clearly the end of the bench in that way. He's not going to play over those other guys. I have seen him, Bill, like he can catch and shoot, that without a doubt, right? And I feel like if he comes in and does that is a lift in a few minutes of hitting a couple baskets. I think where Jordan sometimes gets in trouble right now is when it's trying to create off the bounce, trying to do some other things at the rim where maybe he's not there. It's not his fault, I don't think, because he doesn't have that experience. This team doesn't have the space for him to develop that, quite frankly. But I get your point. I mean, I feel like, when these guys are hurt or down or they need a little bit of an offensive spark, Jordan Nwora coming in and knocking down a couple threes in a few minutes, again, he's not going to flex, but, you rattle off 2-3 threes in a row or 2 threes in a nice, feed off to somebody else, offensive rebound like he's done. That can get your home arena rocking.
The whole Serge Ibaka thing, was that a distraction or was that just something that was put on the back burner?
No, I don't think anybody in that locker room was distracted at all by Serge. From my understanding and the time that I spent around him and saw him, obviously it's not every day, it's not practice, but I didn't see anything that would make you think he was sort of this lone wolf grumbling in the corner about his playing time. And now it's just unfortunate. I mean, this is the reason Serge Ibaka was here. Was it Brook Lopez or Bobby Portis got hurt?
Right.
Now, by the time they decided this mutual parting of ways, those were the two Iron Men of the team. Lopez and Portis had played almost every game. And now, so I don't know if you can go home again. I don't know if you're John Horst and Mike Budenholzer, you could say, hey, Serge, we need you, you know, or if that ship has sailed and now they're – because, look, Bill, it's not so much about Serge now. It's about Giannis. Giannis just came back from, 10, 11 days off. Clearly he needed it. Last year, the whole reason they traded for Serge, if people remember, is he was getting real tired, like physically tired of having to play center, having to play the 5. He didn't want to do it. It was him and Bobby, and that was it. And now it's just going to be him and Brooke. How long? I mean, they're going to reevaluate Bobby Portis in 2 weeks. That doesn't mean he's coming back in 2 weeks. That means, hey, Bobby can maybe start the process. And we know the Bucks are conservative. This could be 4 weeks. Like, is Giannis ready to do that? So I don't know. So no, I don't think Serge as an individual was a problem. I think now the fact that they're in this spot, do they need another big? Is Giannis good to go for 4 or 5 weeks like this? That's going to be the bigger question.
Do the Bucks have the ability to? I mean, Boston's a good basketball team for everything that went on with their coach prior to the season and such. Boston's a hell of a basketball team, and they have far outperformed expectations in a lot of different ways because of what went on earlier. Give me your thoughts on overcoming, because really, to me, as much as I can think, maybe Philadelphia might be a competitive type of team that can maybe be the fly in the ointment. I still think you got to get past Boston. I know Kyrie's playing really well with Brooklyn right now and all that kind of stuff, but to me, it's Boston. So is this team better than Boston?
Look, I'm going to say right now, no, because I got to put respect on their name, Bill. You know, they beat the Bucks in 7. They went to the finals. They're the top team in the East. Chris Middleton hasn't played, so I can't objectively tell you the Bucks would win that series. Now, I do agree with you, though, that the Bucks and the Celtics are the two best teams. The 76ers got nothing for Giannis. Look, Joel Embiid can do whatever he's going to do. James Harden and those two, a tremendous pick-and-roll duo. You're right. That may go 6 games, but I don't think – I think we've seen enough of this play out that the Bucks are better than the Sixers. You're right. Kevin Durant's a problem, and he's so good. But to me, that's still it's not quite a redux of 2 years ago, but I feel like the Bucks are the better team as a whole than Brooklyn. It is the Celtics because they're an experienced team that's way younger. I mean, yeah, there's Al Horford and there's Marcus Smart, who's maybe a little older, but their whole core build, like they're really good, and they have beaten the Bucks. Let's go back to all the different playoff series since Giannis and Chris first started this ascent up. Guess who's beaten them? Boston.
Yeah.
Right. So no, I'm going to say Boston is still the top team in the East, and we're going to have to see, maybe later in February, Bill, I think is their next matchup. Hopefully, if you're the Bucks, Chris Middleton's back, like fully back, and we can maybe get a better gauge of the two with maybe Bobby's back at that point. I don't know how many weeks that is, but if let's say your top 5s are together, I'd be really interested to see how the Bucks match up.
Jimmy, great stuff, buddy. I appreciate it. And we're going to talk more as the season goes on. I appreciate it always, pal. Okay.
Oh, of course. I'll talk to you, Bill, anytime.
Thanks, bud. Talk to you soon. There you go. Our good friend Jim Owczarski of the Journal-Sentinel will give us a lowdown on the Milwaukee Bucks. And they've played well, but they haven't played great in the mid portion of the season. They were 10-11 in 21 games, and they're watching leads go away, and players were down. And now Bobby Portis is down a couple of weeks minimally, and then they'll reevaluate, like Jim said. So, and then Serge Ibaka apparently, not happy with his minutes, and so it's been a difference. Is for a season that we thought it was just going to be throw the basketballs out there, let them roll, and everything was going to be okay. It has been somewhat of a tumultuous season for the Milwaukee Bucks. So thanks to Jim for joining us. Hey, I want to remind you, our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, Pella, P-E-L-L-A, Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. We don't have much time left. You're coming up on the end of the month. And you know what that means? That means that offer to get 0% financing until 2029 is going away. You need to get a hold of them and just say, hey, get me scheduled. Give me that free in-home consultation. I want to get on the book so that way I still have a shot at this in case this is something that I choose I want to do. You don't have to, But if you want to, now's the time to do it. 0% financing until 2029. So whether it's a patio door like I just had installed, windows like I installed years ago, entryways, if you're looking for, say, different windows on the inside, slider windows, roll screens on the insides of the windows, different interior, different exteriors, adding value to your home, making your home more economical. There's so many reasons to go with Pella, and they are the number one choice by homeowners. They're just that damn good. Go to Pella, P-E-L-L-A, PellaWI.com. That is Pella, WI.com, or call. Pick up the phone, 855-PELLA-WI. That is 855-PELLA-WI. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show is next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Even when the weather outside is frightful, your energy bill could be much more delightful. Hi, I'm Gina Della from Pella. Replacing drafty windows and doors can dramatically lower your energy costs. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin offers some of the most energy efficient windows in the industry, designed to keep the cold outside where it belongs. You'll help kick the January blues when you choose to book by the 31st for 0% interest up to 2029. You heard that right. No interest up to the year 2029 if you book by January 31st. Pella's premium wood windows and patio doors feature distinguished craftsmanship and nearly endless possibilities, with maximum design flexibility in dramatic sizes, custom colors, finishes, profiles, product types, and more. Hurry! To get the 0% interest up to 2029, you have to book by January 31st. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
If you want to chime in, 877-867-1670. Also coming up at the bottom of the hour, we've got picks coming up. We got our picks coming up. We're going to talk about the NFC and the AFC championship games and picks against the spread and such. And Ben, Kenny, and I will make the picks. We've only got 3 games left. That's it. We got the 2 this weekend. We've got the Super Bowl, and that'll do it. So we'll get into that as well.
I've totally flip-flopped from last night, by the way.
Have you really?
I need to win this contest somehow.
Okay.
And I won't be with agreeing. So
okay. So, well, wait a minute. We differed, didn't we? We differed on Cincinnati and Kansas City.
No, I agreed with you because that's what my gut says.
Okay.
But for the sake of the game.
Okay. We'll get into that coming up here about 10, 15 minutes. I'm looking forward to that. So now I know who you're going with. This is from Mark. Mark says, I believe that the Packers can be a good football team next year. I think it's going to be fired. That you run into problems when you just continually change coach. I know people can say that. Well, I got to get a new coach. It's important, but it takes a while. It just does take a while for things to gel. So I'm not of the start firing people mode. Now, I understand why they didn't get rid of Joe Barry. I don't like it, but Joe Barry's defense 2 years ago was pretty good. It wasn't bad. So if he can get back to that, then I think, okay, you might have something. But that's a big if. That's a really big if. But I'm not one to fire coaches just to fire coaches. And I said that this upcoming season, there could be a massive house cleaning if this upcoming season goes bad. Now, the determination you have to make is, do you want to get rid of Matt LaFleur? Let's just say this upcoming season, Rodgers comes back, they run it back, same stuff, different day. You know what I'm saying? Okay, then what? Because you're moving on from Rodgers, right? You would assume. Do you then want to change for the only system that Jordan Love has ever known? Do you want to change head coaches and then throw him out there with that for his very first full-time season as a starter? I don't know if I do that. So you other coaches will certainly fall. And apparently did you see, are they letting go of coaches in Buffalo, Ben? Somebody
I saw some assistants.
Okay.
I saw Dallas. Dallas got rid of a lot of assistants.
Dallas, I think, got rid of 4 assistant coaches.
I saw the Bills safeties coach.
Okay. There was a couple of people that lost some jobs, but I don't know if that's. They said, "Oh, let the bloodletting begin," but I didn't actually see it. So I'm, doing the show. I can sit here and watch a little bit of Twitter, but I can't pay attention to it full time. So I don't get a chance to see all that stuff. So sometimes stuff will be breaking, and if Ben doesn't tell me, I'll see it over. Somebody will post it on the Bud Light live stream or something like that. But yeah, they let go of 4 coaches in Dallas. And so, which would also lead you to believe that Mike Clemens, Mike McCarthy's coming back, because you're not going to let go of all the assistant coaches like that, and then have Mike doing that, and then fire Mike too. Yeah, Rob Davis and Joe Philbin were let go in Dallas. Joe Philbin, long time, one of the assistants for Mike McCarthy. And Rob Davis, remember Rob Davis was the guy in Green Bay, long-time personnel guy in Green Bay. And then he went off one day. I think he went off on the media or something. He went off one day. And it was just a bad look. And it wasn't long after that he was gone. So he was out. 877-867-1670. If you want to chime in, call us. Otherwise, you can find us via email. You can find us there. This one's from JD, by the way. He says, hey, Unit, I think most want to trade Rodgers simply because of Aaron Rodgers' fatigue, which you pointed out. And to use your previous Corvette analogy, you may be trading in a Corvette for a Chevette. But if you've driven the Corvette to the point of boredom, a Chevette may be kind of fun to drive for a little while, or at least until you find the next upgraded Corvette. JD, that is it's fun to drive, but it's not going to win you the race. And in Green Bay, it's all about winning the race, right? You know? This is from John, says people keep going back to the 70s and the 80s. One thing that has changed since then is free agency. A competent GM can keep the Packers competitive using free agency. And with trades, just like Ron Wolf did, they may not win a Super Bowl, but they may be able to win the division and get bounced in the playoffs just like the last 10 years. That's John and Howard. Boy, that's just kind of a backhanded slap right there, isn't it? That's a backhanded middle finger. Yeah. By the way, the odds coming up out of our friends at betonline.ag, with either game in the championship weekend going to overtime, it's 11-2 yes, 1-10 no. Will either game result in a walk-off win? 6-1 yes, 1-15 no. Will there be a special teams TD? 5-4 yes, 20-33 no. My God, they're getting up there. They're getting crazy. Most passing yards this weekend. Who's going to have it? Burrow, Kansas City's combined quarterback play, if indeed they go in that direction. Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy. Burrow comes in at 7-5. Kansas City comes 7-4. Jalen Hurts comes 7-2. Brock Purdy 4-1. Most receiving yards, Jamar Chase, followed by A.J. Brown, Travis Kelce, Devonta Smith, T. Higgins, and it goes on down from there. So a lot of prop bets coming into this weekend. A lot of prop bets. All right, let's do this. We're going to, speaking of bets, Ben, Kenny, and I, we're going to make our picks against the spread. We're going to break both games down and make some picks, and hopefully they live up to expectations. So stay tuned. Coming up with a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bread. Delicious bread. It's so essential, it's often been exchanged like money throughout history. Well, at Quick Trip, our freshly made bread from our bakery saves you money. Because right now, our quick hot savings is Quick-Re white bread. Just 79 cents a loaf. 79 cents? Can you buy anything for 79 cents these days? Yup, a loaf of our fresh white bread. It's like inflation never happened here. So save some bread. Buying some bread. Just 79 cents a loaf. Only at Quick Trip. We got you covered.
Hey, it's 2023. Make a break from the usual. If you haven't tried Scholze Family Beef yet, make it your New Year's resolution. Go to ScholzeFamilyBeef.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show continues on. What do you got coming up? You got live music every Saturday night coming up at Curly's Waterfront Pub and Grill out on Pewaukee Lake. And yesterday, I think they had the Taco Tuesday. But today's Thursday. Trivia night tonight. Trivia night. And they got Bucks tickets to give away. Admirals tickets to give away. They're going to test your knowledge tonight starting at 7:30. That's Curly's Waterfront Bar and Grill right there in Pewaukee Lake. Again, Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill, and tonight is trivia night. Bucks tickets, Admiral tickets to give away. So good stuff there. News coming out of New England. As details continue to emerge about their disastrous 2022 season, Mac Jones' relationship with his coaches, including the quarterback coach, Joe Judge. Mac did not like him at all, according to some. Belichick would blast Joe Judge in practice for some of the problems that they had. So apparently things are, Bill Belichick is a guru. Don't get me wrong. We all know that, right? We can all agree upon that. But what he did this year offensive was a travesty. Having Matt Patricia be your play call. Matt Patricia was terrible. They set Mac Jones back at least a year with all the garbage that they were running this year. What a travesty.
And who could have ever seen Joe Judge not working out?
Oh, God. Yeah.
After the Giants debacle.
He's terrible.
Talking about the sanctity of the game, competitive nature.
Right. Yeah.
Remember that?
He's terrible. But they brought him in to be a quarterback. I never understood that, to be a quarterback's coach. It's hire somebody who's a really decent offensive coordinator. Like Bill Belichick should have been on the phone with Nathaniel Hackett. He should have been talking to him, or some of the other offensive assistants coming out of, say, like Shanahan's, organization, just gone in that direction. Even, you not necessarily Eric Bieniemy, because he's an offensive coordinator, but go down to Kansas City, try to pick up somebody coming out of Andy Reid's system. What they're doing there is just that's kind of a joke. Well, I digress. Let's get to it. We've got the AFC and the NFC championship games coming up this weekend. 12-3 Jungle. The Chiefs are 7-1 at home, 14-3 on the. They have lost. I mentioned it earlier. They have lost 5 games in the last 2 years, and all of which are by 4 or less. 4 of those 5 they lost by 3. 1 game they lost by 4, but 3 of those 5 games they have lost to none other than the Cincinnati Bengals, 2 of which they have lost down there at Arrowhead Stadium. So, Ben, I'll let you go first in this one.
I don't know, Bill. Mo kind of fired me up this morning.
Did he?
On taking the Bengals to win this game. He did. The Bengals have the same kind of vibe that the Eagles had years ago when they were underdogs in every playoff game, and they just came out and found ways to win. And that's obviously different context, but that's what this Bengals team feels like. The line is down to Chiefs -1, which means that people are getting excited about what Mahomes could look like. They think he's going to be healthier. I'm taking the Bengals. I think they can do it again. I think they can go on the road. I think they can pressure Mahomes enough in the middle, which will be key. Pretty much do anything they can to disrupt him as the game goes along. As you mentioned earlier, it's what they did last year. It's how they won. There's something about how they were able to run the ball last week. Joe Burrow, that receiving core. I just think they have it. I'm going to take the Bengals.
Williams and Kappa on the Bengals offensive line, both of them banged up. They got Jackson Carman. They've got Max Sharping. They have got those guys that have filled in. They filled in admirably last week. I said it to Mo Egger earlier today when we had him on. For those that are tuning in late, we had Mo Egger from ESPN 1530 down in Cincinnati on the program. And, you're right. Mo kind of got me fired up. But I am living as some Wisconsinites look at Wisconsin or Milwaukee Brewers or even the Packers now to a certain extent. Like, it's like they're due. They're due to lose. Is there any other rhyme or reason to that? No. They're just due to lose. They are 3-0. Joe Burrow is against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. I think Cincinnati has as good, if not better, weaponry. I think their defense is getting after it. You are going to see Reeder and Hubbard and B.J. Hill. They are going to put all kinds of up-the-gut pressure with Trey Hendrickson and company. They're going to do everything they can to try to get Patrick Mahomes off his mark to see if that ankle's good or not. Everything tells me Cincinnati can win this game, but I'm picking Kansas City. I'm taking Kansas City, and Kansas City right now a 1 point favorite in this game, and the line shifted because originally it was 2.5 points in favor of Cincinnati. Then last night it was 1.5, Ben, and then since then the betting line has shifted to Kansas City 1 point favorite.
It was even last night.
Was it even last night? So now it's shifted. The lines have shifted over. I think more and more people are thinking, okay, if Patrick Mahomes can go, there's a lot of chip on his shoulder, we'll say. So I'm going to take Kansas City, giving 1 point in this one. I think Kansas City wins it, probably wins it by 3, 4. But Kansas City against Cincinnati has lost all 3 games by 3 points and has had a 7-point lead in the second half of all 3 of those games, only to watch them lose them. So I'm going to take Kansas City to shore up a couple of things and get the win at home at Arrowhead. So you're taking Cincinnati. I'm taking Kansas City. I'm still rooting for Cincinnati. Don't get me wrong. So I'm kind of rooting for you, Ben, which if that happens, we would ultimately end up probably tied. But I'm going to take Kansas. My money says Kansas City. My head and heart say Cincinnati. That takes it. Go ahead.
Let's remember, yes, the Bengals have beaten the Chiefs 3 times, but every time you have picked against the Bengals and I have picked them in the playoffs, the Bengals have won.
They won.
So 2 unbreakable streaks going that both lead to the Bengals winning. So we'll see.
They won. Then you got San Francisco, the 49ers, the Cinderella story that is Brock Purdy, the number 1 overall scoring defense, the number 1 yardage defense, taking on the Eagles. Jalen Hurts and company. The Eagles at 14-3, 7-2 at the Link. 49ers are 5-3 on the road. And being on the road, they not only on the road, but they're going from West Coast to East Coast, which is not an easy thing to do, even though the game's a little bit earlier in the day. It's not a noon start. It's a 2 o'clock start Central Time, 3 o'clock start Eastern Time. So it's not a terrible jet lag type of stretch. But this, by far, it's the better team. The Eagles are the better team. But this defense is unlike anything Jalen Hurts has faced all season long. Everybody keeps, and I said this last time, everybody keeps talking about Jalen Hurts. Well, if he can do it here, he's had a hell of a season. He's beaten good teams. He beat the Giants. He beat the Cowboys. He's beaten good. He beat the Vikings. He beat a lot of good teams. And they kept saying, well, if he wins this one, then we'll believe. Now they're saying, well, this is a defense like he hasn't seen, and they're coming after him, and they're going to check that shoulder, and they're going to hit him hard, and on and on. And then if he wins this one, then they'll be for real. And I'm thinking, no. I just think this is where the wheels begin to come off of the 49ers. It's not going to be a high-scoring affair, but Philadelphia, 2.5-point favorites in this one. I think they cover. I'm taking Philly at home to win. I think they win by anywhere from 7-10, to be honest with you. But and it's not going to be a high-scoring affair. I think it's like 24-17, 24-13, something like that. 23-13, somewhere in there, that area. But I just saw Brock Purdy just wasn't able to move the balls consistently, even though they have a decent run game of McCaffrey. And really, I think McCaffrey's going to have a big night for the 49ers to win. But I'm going to take the Eagles given 2.5.
Bill, I must say I'm starting to get the jitters for this game. I'm the anxiety is starting to set in, the excitement. The fact it's the early game I don't like. I wish this was the night game at the Link instead of having to go off during the day and then, either be happy for the late game or be very, very sad. I'm with you. I'm with you on the Eagles minus 2.5. I don't see it as a 7 to 10 point win necessarily. It's 4 or 5 to me. The margin is going to be so small in this game because when you have such dominant players all over the field at every position, there will be subtle mismatches that the coordinators will find. Can you match up a tight end on a linebacker or on a safety? Can you get the run game going in a certain direction? But when you have that much talent on both sides of the ball on both teams, it comes down to a game truly of, do you turn the ball over? Can you score 7 points in the red zone? Do you commit costly mistakes? Because remember, the Niners almost handed that game to Dallas, if I'm not mistaken, with a special teams mistake where they fumbled the punt. It's those things that change these games. And the Cowboys easily could have won that game if Dak Prescott played like an average quarterback. So I don't think it's that challenging to beat San Francisco, but you better be sharp. So I'm scared, I must say. I'm frightened that they'll come in and win because it seems too perfect, from a Philadelphia perspective. But I'll take the Eagles so all of America can continue to hate Nick Sirianni.
When we come back, we'll pick up some of the prop bets. We'll talk a little bit about that when we come back as well. Stay tuned. Got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Buzzard Billy's. They are out in La Crosse, and I'm looking forward. We're going to do the Bill Michaels Open out in Viroqua. I'm going to try to get up to La Crosse. There's a couple of people that said, hey, when you're out here that weekend, can you swing by? I'll try to, and Buzzard Billy's is always one of my favorite haunts. Between Buzzard Billy's downstairs for great food, Starlight Lounge upstairs, awesome place. Check out our friends at Buzzard Billy's in La Crosse downtown. Wonderful place to eat. Always got some great brews on tap. And then you go upstairs, Starlight Lounge, martinis, the chocolate martini, the Snickers martini. That you don't even like drink it. You just blow bubbles in it and hope for the best. I mean, that thing's just fantastic. So stop in to the Starlight Lounge as well. We've got more prop bets next on the Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Even when the weather outside is frightful, your energy bill could be much more delightful. Hi, I'm Gina Della from Pella. Replacing drafty windows and doors can dramatically lower your energy costs. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin offers some of the most energy efficient windows in the industry, designed to keep the cold outside where it belongs. You'll help kick the January blues when you choose to book by the 31st for 0% interest up to 2029. You heard that right. No interest up to the year 2029 if you book by January 31st. Pella's premium wood windows and patio doors feature distinguished craftsmanship and nearly endless possibilities, with maximum design flexibility in dramatic sizes, custom colors, finishes, profiles, product types, and more. Hurry! To get the 0% interest up to 2029, you have to book by January 31st. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, here's Mike Clemens.
The NFL's conference championships are coming up this Sunday. It's the Eagles and the 49ers, followed by the Bengals and Chiefs in Kansas City, where the game time temperature there could be around 22 degrees. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes was able to practice yesterday despite that sprained ankle he suffered against the Jaguars. How does he feel?
I'm doing good, AFC Championship week, ready to go.
How's the ankle?
It's doing good, I've had a few days of treatment, a few days of rehab. Excited to get on the practice field and kind of test it out and see where I'm at, but it's feeling good so far.
For the second year in a row, the Chiefs and Bengals will play in the AFC Championship game. Are the teams beginning to feel as familiar as divisional opponents? Chiefs head coach Andy Reid.
Yeah, I would say probably both ways. I would say that they know us and we know them. And, we're all searching for that little extra thing that you can throw at them. So we played each other enough to – I'm sure both sides feel that way.
Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow is the first quarterback to beat Mahomes 3 games in a row. This will be the 4th meeting in just 2 years.
Played them twice the last 2 seasons and really basically a month apart each time. We know them, they know us. We have the experience. Team that's been to this game the last 5 seasons, and they've all been in that stadium. So to me, they're still the team to beat, and we're coming for them, but we know it's going to be tough. We know it's going to be hard fought, and we know the kind of players that they have on that side.
That's Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow. I'm Mike Clemens on the Bill Michaels Show.
And when I was down at New Berlin Ale House yesterday, I had a little time to kill. And I tell you all the time, he can do many different things. And sure enough, it was a bunch of gym equipment, benches, headrests, the roller bars that go behind your knees when you do, leg lifts and stuff, or, you do quads. He can do everything. And it's fantastic. Get a hold of country for, say, your business or business stuff or a gym equipment. Get a hold of my buddy Dwayne. He is fantastic. Go to Dwayne's, DUANES, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. That is Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. And see for yourself everything that I talk about, because it's just really good. 715-870-2119. 715-870-2119. Again, 715-870-2119. And if you're a business owner, you will not be sorry. You'll save yourself a bunch of money, too. So the most passing yards this weekend will be by whom, Ben?
I would guess Burrow. I heard the props. That's my first guess.
Burrow?
You feel like they'll need him to.
Okay.
You can't really rely on Mahomes' ankle. And with both the Eagles and the Niners, I think they might be best suited if their quarterback is not throwing for a lot of yards.
Who will have the most rushing yards? McCaffrey, Sanders, Pacheco, Mixon, Jalen Hurts, Elijah Mitchell, or Kenneth Gainwell? You notice
That's one of those
they don't put Mahomes in there.
Right. That could go anywhere. I might take Mixon because that's how the Bengals will win. But I'd say Mixon or Pacheco. I just don't see the offenses on Sunday afternoon having much success.
The other guy that's explosive, they don't have P. Ryan on there either. Out of Cincinnati's backfield, they don't have P. Ryan on there.
He's more of a receiving guy, though.
Yeah,
I feel like.
Yeah, that's true.
Plus, the carries just won't be there.
How many yards do you think Brock Purdy throws for? The over and under is 219 and a half.
I hope it's over because that means they're not winning, likely.
Right.
That means he's trying to push it down the field.
Right.
Unless they do the whole Seahawks game where he throws a 5-yard slant to Debo that turns into an 80-yard touchdown.
Yeah, they got a whole lot of
stats
stuff
look great
there regarding the 49ers. Jalen Hurts over and under on passing yards is sitting 249 and a half. I would say under. What are the weather conditions, by the way, in Philadelphia this weekend?
It's supposed to be unseasonably beautiful.
Really? Okay.
Which kind of stinks. But then again, there's always the 50, 40 and sunny, and then it's 15 and crappy, right. But we'll see.
Because I think in Kansas City, it's supposed to be like 22 to 24. Originally, they were talking about in the teens with 0 wind chill. Now I think it's gone up. The temperature down there has gone up last I checked. Will Jalen Hurts have a rushing touchdown?
Always. It's the best bet in the book. That and Boston Scott scoring against the Giants.
Now, here's where I went with this. So the first half margin of victory, Eagles by 13 or more, is 18-5. Eagles by 1 to 6 points, 4-1. Eagles by 7 to 12 points, 4-1. San Francisco by 1 to 6. San Francisco by 7 to 12. San Francisco. I would say San Francisco by 1 to 6 in the first half. I would bet that. I don't think I'd bet by 13 or more.
You're getting into the degenerate stuff now, Bill.
Yeah, I am.
First half winning margin.
Yeah.
Parlay that with the game total. Now we're talking.
Well, the total margin of victory. I put 9-2 down at a plus 450 with Philadelphia 7 to 12 points.
Ooh. My favorite bet to get out of the rat race of being down a lot of money would always be tie game in the first half and then one team to win it in the second. But it has to be tied at halftime. It's my favorite bet.
First score of the game between the Eagles and the 49ers. Philadelphia touchdown, San Francisco touchdown, Philly field goal, San Francisco field goal, safety. Who gets the first one?
I would take a safety for the chaos. But no, no, all jokes aside, I do think the Eagles are going to start with the ball. Because they did it against New York, and they got out ahead, and they were able to really get everyone going and play downhill. I don't think they'll give the ball to San Francisco with the fright of them holding it for 8 minutes. So I'd say the Eagles score a field goal.
Just some of the prop bets. They got Joe Burrow's passing yards line at 279.5 and 1.5 touchdowns, the over and the under. I'm going to go over the touchdowns, but I'm going to go under the passing yards just because the weather sometimes plays into that. Especially if they get the lead, you don't necessarily have to throw it so much. Another hour yet to go. Hang in there. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, Wisconsin's lost 5 of their last 6 games. It's after getting blown out 73-55 on the road last night in Maryland. The game was close at the half before the Terrapins pulled away. They shot 56%, which is the best anyone has shot against the Badgers in 5 seasons. Connor Essegian led the way for Wisconsin with a career-high tying 17 points. Badgers played without guard Max Klesmit once again as he deals with a facial injury. Wisconsin was in first place in the Big Ten on January 7th. They are now in a 3-way tie for 9th. In just 1 game out of 12, they will get to come back home to face Illinois this Saturday. Turning the Bucks, they beat a shorthanded Nuggets squad last night, 107-99. Denver was without MVP frontrunner Nikola Jokic and several other starters, but gave Milwaukee a game. Giannis Antetokounmpo led the way for the Bucks, scoring 33 points, grabbing 14 rebounds. Pat Connaughton had 19 points and 12 boards. Chris Middleton gave the team 10 points off the bench in his second game back from injury. Bucks will now hit the road to face Indiana tomorrow night.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
When a company only does business in Wisconsin, that's Wisconsin Strong. Rural Mutual provides all lines of insurance, including commercial, farm, home, and auto. And your premiums stay right here to keep Wisconsin strong. Local agents, local underwriters, local claims adjusters.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, former Packers offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett has a new job. The former Denver head coach is the new offensive coordinator with the Jets. It's notable because New York is one of the teams considered to be a possibility as a trade partner if the Packers and Aaron Rodgers decide to go their separate ways this offseason. Rodgers famously said he never wanted Hackett to leave Green Bay unless he went somewhere else too. Rodgers still hasn't decided whether he will return for another season or whether he will retire after 18 seasons with the Packers. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Good day. Welcome. 4th hour, final hour of the Bill Michaels Show. on this day today. Got some breaking news for you coming up here in a couple of different fronts in just a minute. This portion of the program brought to you by our buddy Scott Ellis. He's the guy that helped me with Homeside Financial, get me all taken care of when it came to my mortgage, when it came to my refi. And right now they've got a 2-to-1 buy down where you can start out at 4.5%. I'm not kidding you. 4.5% when everybody else is paying 6.5% and higher. 4.5%. You got to find out the details. 414-791-7771. 414-791-7771. 4.5% on a 2-1 buy down. You got to check it out. If you're looking to get access to equity out of your home, get, say, cash to pay off some debts, he can help you out with that as well. Get some refi going. 414-791-7771. That's my buddy Scott Ellis from Homeside Financial. And he covers all of Wisconsin. 414-791-7771. 414-791-7771. First of all, the former Colts head coach, Frank Reich, now being named the new head coach of the Carolina Panthers, that he actually quarterbacked back in 1995. So Frank Reich going back to Carolina. This one, though, this hits home because I like these. Ben, have you ever gone into one of those local convenience stores, liquor stores or whatever, and you see the little tiny Fireball bottles?
Yes, I know what story you're talking about. I have. It's a big story. It's not being talked about enough.
No. So Fireball is that cinnamon whiskey. Everybody knows that. There's also a Fireball cinnamon and a Fireball cinnamon whiskey. Apparently, it doesn't contain any whiskey. So they're being sued. It's a malt beverage with a natural whiskey flavor coloring to it and a caramel color that's added. But it's actually a malt beverage. Fireball cinnamon alcohol by volume stands at 16.5%. Fireball cinnamon whiskey is much lower than Fireball cinnamon whiskey by 33%. So using the words with natural whiskey and other flavors, it's a turn of phrase because consumers who strain to read it, they don't even see the fact that it's just naturally whiskey flavored rather than actually being a whiskey.
It's truly despicable.
It's calling a whiskey when it's not a whiskey. Man, that, you know, for everybody that's a Fireball drinker out there, now you have to rethink your entire philosophy. They're selling you what's called a whiskey, and it's not. It's a malt beverage with cinnamon flavoring.
The good thing is their target market is drunk enough to not care.
Right. They don't care. You know, they don't care. I thought they were going to say it actually doesn't have any alcohol in it. I thought that was going to be the next thing that they stated, but no, it has alcohol. It just doesn't have nearly as much. And now it's not even a whiskey. It's a malt beverage. And I think most people that drink it are probably going, all right, whatever. Nobody cares. But it's breaking news. Breaking news. Fireball cinnamon whiskey is not a whiskey. Damn. There you have it. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Feel free. 877-867-1670. Let's get back to the phone calls. Let's go to Ken listening to us in Milwaukee. Ken, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing well, buddy. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'd just like you to weigh in on the Packers front four. In your opinion, is it the fault of Joe Barry that they cannot stop the run, or is the fact that they're just average players up front, and including Clark? You know, I know Gary is great against, is a great pass rusher, but against the run, it seems he is less than spectacular. So I'd just like your opinion on that.
No, I appreciate it. Kenny Clark is solid, and if Kenny Clark doesn't have to be doubled and tripled the entire time, he's a pretty solid guy. I've always been a big believer of you're only as good up front as your weakest link. And sometimes Dean Lowry shows up and he works hard. Sometimes he just kind of gets washed away. Because when you saw Dean Lowry go down with the injury and Devontae Wyatt come in, Devontae Wyatt started blowing up that defensive front. Now, here's the other problem with that, because you got to bring up a good point, but very rarely do they run 3 down linemen. usually they're in a nickel package, and it's just like Kenny Clark and Jerron Reed or Kenny Clark and Dean Lowry, and they're splitting Kenny Clark off the nose and putting him between either nose guard or center guard or guard tackle. So, and then they're leaving it for, Quay Walker and Devondre Campbell to clean up the run. So I would like to see them run more base, but I also think you need, hopefully Devontae Wyatt goes away this offseason and he bulks up, takes care of himself, comes back rested and refreshed and ready to go. Because I think he just really, he kind of showed me something down the stretch. He kind of showed me something down the stretch. So I still think if you can get TJ Slayton big by, and TJ Slayton, by the way, he's a blue M&M short of 350. He's a big dude, man. He's a big dude. If you get him doing anything as a 5th round draft choice, you get Devontae Wyatt coming in solid. You get a couple of guys to kind of rotate through. And I don't know what Jonathan Ford's going to equal out to be by the time it's all said and done. But if Devontae Wyatt's the real deal, Ford can be something, TJ, and then you fortify that with another draft pick or 2 this year, I'm all in favor of the beef they have up front. I think the trenches will only get better. But Kenny Clark's the real deal. It's just, there's times, he got washed away this year. Sometimes he did it one-on-one. Sometimes he just held his stalemate. Sometimes he was getting double teamed, what have you. But he was disruptive. He just didn't have the same oomph this year as he had last year. I mean, when you look at it, Preston Smith had a good year when it comes to the sack totals, but overall and he was asked to set the edge more this year than he has been in the past, but his numbers overall and some of his peak PFF numbers were down a little bit. Kenny Clark's numbers were down a little bit. Adrian Amos was down. While Jair played better pass defended, he also had more give-ups this year. Stokes was down this year before he went down with injury. Savage was down this year before he got benched and then came back. Rasul Douglas's numbers early on this season were down. So it was just like the whole defense was just down. Should have in many situations, it should have been, because we were talking about it on paper being like a top 5 defense, right? So if you get Quay Walker to be able to shed blocks and be a run stuffer, you get Devontae Wyatt and that big body going, and you get even stronger with guys now feel in your secondary, then I think you should be a better defense. But you still need some key contributors. You still need bigger pieces up front, and you still need 1 or 2 guys back in the secondary. If not necessarily for depth, but if you're going to replace Adrian Amos, you have to find yourself a starting strong safety. 8-7. Go ahead, Ben.
Careful with M&Ms, Bill. They're a hot topic these days.
Yeah, because they got what's her face's picture on them.
No, I think there was some initiative in terms of spokes candies and taking the, men and women nature. Yeah, things that they outside of this realm clearly, but blue M&M away from X.
Yeah,
it's a hot topic.
It's candy, for God's sakes.
Also, I am convinced that the M&Ms taste different, that are different colors.
I haven't had M&M. You know what? I'll be honest with you. I haven't eaten regular M&Ms in years. I usually get the peanut butter M&Ms.
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah, those are fantastic.
Oh, you freeze them? I like frozen candy.
Okay. I've got the giant, on the bar. Everybody, when they come to the house, they always know you go to the bar because I have a big bucket, like you would get 5 or 6 beers in on bucket night, when you get 5 for 10 or something like that. I got one of those buckets filled to the brim with Andes candies, M&M peanut butter M&Ms, Reese cups, mini Reese cups, mini Kit Kats, all different colors. You got the vanilla, you got the dark chocolate, and the regular. I've got a whole bucket filled with that stuff, and I just haven't added to it lately. But Pac Fan agrees with you. He says frozen M&Ms and frozen Thin Mints are the best. Now Thin Mints, I'm waiting. When do the Girl Scout cookie sheets come out to start filling it out for Girl Scout cookies? Aren't we closing?
I don't know
now.
I think so. I usually just see them on the corner here in Madison.
Okay.
They set up a little stand.
I've usually got a friend or two that'll get a hold of me and say, hey, the kids are getting older now. So I don't know if they're still going to do Girl Scout cookies. So I got to find my fix, man. Because once you get into March and March Madness, man, you've got to have those cookies in hand for NCAA tournament games. Otherwise, you're out of your damn mind. It's just not the same type of season.
Well, the Badgers probably won't be in it, so we need something.
Yeah, what's going on with the Badgers? We haven't even really talked Badger basketball. Last night they got drilled by Maryland. And I will say this, though. At least they got a lot of run for the young guys playing right now for a decent team that's got, was it Tyler Wall's the only senior, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Without looking, I think so.
I think he's the only senior. So this entire team will be back next year. It's good to see a lot of the young guys getting some run right now. The way Greg Gard's kind of mixed it up. A lot of the young guys getting some opportunities. So you would assume they're going to be better, but they've run into a tough stretch right now. I was watching that game a little bit last night, and Maryland was just trouncing them last evening.
Yeah, it was actually a historically bad defensive performance from the team, which is concerning. But they just I don't know. They're not that good.
They're
simple to say.
They really started off on fire because people were opening their eyes going, whoa, wait a minute. I still think the Badgers could have a shot at making it to the tournament. You get a little bit of a run late, do a little damage in the Big Ten tournament, and you could find yourself in. You wouldn't be you're probably a bubble team right now, right? Or do you think?
Oh,
yeah. I was going to say they're a bubble team. Right
they
now.
were a 10 seed before the loss against Maryland.
Yeah.
They're right in the picture.
Right.
It's just the rest of the schedule's tough. It's not going to get easier. So
get
you got to find
wins. Get a couple of decent wins, and you'll find yourself, tournament wise, Big Ten tournament wise, maybe get a win or two, and you'll find yourself in. You may not be a high seed, but you'll still find yourself in. See what happens. Just get to the tournament, man. See what happens. Marquette's having a hell of a year, and boy, UWM, holy mackerel, they're winning the Horizon League right now. For people that went, UWM, didn't they used to have a basketball program? Now you blink your eyes, you're like, wow, they're back. That's an up and coming program. Now, do I think they're going to be dominant in the sense of, top 15 in the country? Probably not, but still, at least they're making a little bit of hay. And if they win the Horizon League tournament, being one of the better teams in the Horizon League, then who knows? We can end up with all three teams in the big dance before it's all said and done. We have three rooting interests there. I'd be all for that. Hell yeah. 877-867-1670. Let's do this. We'll step out, take a quick break, come back. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Even when the weather outside is frightful, your energy bill could be much more delightful. Hi, I'm Gina Della from Pella. Replacing drafty windows and doors can dramatically lower your energy costs. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin offers some of the most energy efficient windows in the industry, designed to keep the cold outside where it belongs. You'll help kick the January blues when you choose to book by the 31st for 0% interest up to 2029. You heard that right. No interest up to the year 2029 if you book by January 31st. Pella's premium wood windows and patio doors feature distinguished craftsmanship and nearly endless possibilities, with maximum design flexibility in dramatic sizes, custom colors, finishes, profiles, product types, and more. Hurry. To get the 0% interest up to 2029, you have to book by January 31st. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Good to have you. Bill Michaels Show continues on. Hey, our friends over at Smoke on the Water. They've got they got Chef Jerry Garcia over there now, and he's got a deep resume when it comes to making different, dishes, so to speak. They've got a tap takeover going on. They're going to launch a Schmutzig Helles Lager tap takeover from Glendale, Wisconsin's Bavarian Beer House. So they've got that coming up today, beginning at 5. So they got pretzels and stuff. So if you're going to do a tap takeover, a couple of clinking glasses and some Bavarian beers and all that kind of stuff, that's happening today. Smoke on the Water barbecue on Okachi Lake, and great people out there. Joe and Ellen Hennis. I haven't been out there in a while. I haven't seen them in a while. Got to get back out there for sure. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. By the way, I didn't mention this the other day. Scott Rowland made it into the Hall of Fame. And I was talking to a buddy of mine down in Cincinnati. Ben, I know people were mentioning that. It was almost like the Baseball Writers Association of America. They put him in just to put him in, because otherwise it would have been 2 years in a row that a baseball player would not have made it to the Hall of Fame. So the question is, are the standards too high for the Baseball Hall of Fame? I don't think so. But does Scott Rowland belong there?
I think letting Scott Rowland in is lowering them.
I do too.
Bit.
I do too.
He doesn't feel like a Hall of Famer.
No.
Part of that is he was never, I guess, the best player on his own team.
Right.
Aside from when he was in Philly, but those teams sucked early on in his career.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Boy, when I saw that, I was kind of like, what? I never considered Scott Rowland a Hall of Famer. Never. It was just bizarre, but they almost, it was like the baseball writers let him in because they didn't have anybody else. There was nobody really worthy, and it would have been 2 years in a row that they wouldn't have had anybody being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And so now they're questioning whether or not their standards are too high. And I'm like, no, if you're not a Hall of Famer, you're not a Hall of Famer. So be it. Just leave it alone. Don't lower the standards just because you want to have a celebration. You want to have a ceremony. Celebrate. If I'm a Hall of Famer that's in there, I'm like, really? This guy's going to join us? He's got good numbers, but this guy? No, he's not up to our standard. So I thought that was rather strange. By the way, go ahead.
One other guy too. There was the Veterans Committee let someone in. I forget his name.
I didn't see who that was.
I'll find it. But I also think it's part of the whole stat revolution because I think he's more valuable if you include defense, like when it comes to all the WAR and stuff.
Right.
In terms of those metrics, he might pass a lot of the tests, which is, I guess, some change that we're seeing.
Yeah, I still am like, no. Fred McGriff was the other one.
That's it. Yeah.
Fred McGriff. Thank you very much, Brad. Also,
Ryan Braun up next.
Wow.
After the Brewers retire his number.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. If you're not putting Bonds in, you're not putting Braun in. You know,
which that's another discussion.
That's a whole other discussion.
This wouldn't be a problem if they would just do that.
The problem I have with not putting, Barry Bonds in. Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer before he went to San Francisco. I mean, he was on the trajectory for that. I mean, he was already a tremendous player, a Hall of Fame player. He just blew up when he went to San Fran after the 98, home run chase between McGuire and Sosa. And then that famous call to Ken Griffey Jr. to say, look at these two guys. The rest of the world's going crazy over them. And Barry Bonds had a tremendous year that year. I think he hit like 44 home runs. He just said, look, if they're going to do it, we're going to do it. And Griffey said, I'm not going to do that. You wonder what Griffey could have been had he actually taken the PEDs, because Griffey was probably the purest swing, purest hitter, one of all time. And he did it all natural and had the hamstrings and the ankles and all that stuff. Had those not hampered him in his career at the end of his career, you wonder how many more home runs he would have hit if he would have been able to play more had he been taken. By the way, the defensive coordinator, D'Amico Ryans, is now the top candidate as the coach. Look, 32 of these jobs. I understand it. It is a coveted job. It's millions of dollars. Significance. And then again, after this season, you can't really go anywhere but up, you would assume. But with what you saw out of Russell Wilson, do you really want to be tied to how bad Russell Wilson was this year? Do you really want to try to reform that team? Because defensively you can go out and play lights out, but Russell Wilson was terrible. Would you want anything to do with that, knowing that you're strapped with that contract? I guess if it's your first head coaching gig, you'd take it, but oof. That you tell you, I mean, if you're like Sean Payton, no. They would have to give Sean Payton $10 million, $15 million a year to come back. Uh, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Again, 877-867-1670. This is from Jess. Jess says, if they trade Aaron Rodgers away, the team goes broke. They can't afford to put good players around Jordan Love. So therefore, why should we expect anything out of Jordan Love, at least for the first year or so? Well, first of all, Jess, the team's not broke. They would just be in a salary cap hole. And we're basing it upon what we know right here and right now. Remember, Aaron Rodgers said that number is not going to be the number, which means they're going to change. They're going to move some stuff around. So it won't be as bad. They'll get some relief. I mean, I don't know how much, but they'll get some relief. Maybe 5 million, 10 million, something like that. But they won't, it's not like he's going to give back 50 million, right? What else do we have here for you? I don't want to do that. That's crazy. No, I'm not going to go there. 877-867-16. Some people just write crazy long stuff, and I can't get to all of it. It's just, it's bananas. This one is from Daniel says, on Rodgers, what lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. I would rather lose with love, and I'm not on Twitter, so I'm voting here. Get rid of Rodgers because he's a distraction to other players. If I was a teammate of Rodgers, I would not offer my best effort. Well, Daniel, the problem with that is you're also your own commodity. The best product you have to sell is you. So if you don't give your best effort, then you're hurting yourself. You're not hurting anybody else. I mean, you don't like Rodgers. I don't know. I think there's some guys in the locker room where the act wears thin, but they know that he has a level of standard. And it's kind of like sometimes they'll roll their eyes and go, "Oh, okay." And then you kind of pick yourself up and go, "Okay, let's go." Whereas there's some guys that are right now in that locker room that are like, man, when Jordan finally gets his chance to play, we got his back. We're going to bust it. So it's not to say that they're playing less hard for Aaron Rodgers. It's just that they don't want to let Jordan Love fail. But it's a feeling. It's I don't know how to explain it, but you would assume when you get in the trenches, it's man to man. You're trying to beat the guy across from you. You're not a team. You're you. You've got that guy. You have to you have to do your job for your team to be successful. It's like being a hitter in baseball. It's not the Brewers against the Cardinals. It's, Christian Yelich against Wainwright. You're trying to beat that guy. So you don't want to continuously lose because your overall value, your team obviously is depending on you, but your overall value to yourself goes down. So you don't want to go out and say, I'm not going to give my best effort because then you're getting your ass whipped all over the field. And that's embarrassing too. And everybody sees it. 877-867-1670, if that makes sense. Give us a shout. We'd love to hear from you. This one is from our friends at Great Lakes Dragaway. 2023, it's here. Go to GreatLakesDragaway.com and get your season pass if you have the need for speed. Great Lakes Dragaway down in Union Grove. GreatLakesDragaway.com. That's GreatLakesDragaway.com.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
This January, hit the road to riches at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Play each day for thousands in free play and entries into the big $200,000 grand finale. The more you play, the closer you get to big money. So hit the road, Jack, or Jill, or whatever your name might be. The road to riches, only at Potawatomi. For more details, visit paysbig.com/road2riches. Must be 21 years old to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Continuing on, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Hey, don't forget the boat show. Look for our friends at Skipper Buds. Skipper Buds can be at the boat show. So at the Wisconsin Expo Center. So at Skipper Buds, I mean, if you're looking for yachts, pontoons, sport and deck boats, fishing boats, whatever it happens to be, they've got it. Ask for Todd. He's the general manager. He can make the deals with you. And if you're looking for new, used cruisers, Four Winds, Mastercraft, Taiga, Scarab, whatever, they've got them, and a lot of great in-stock boats right now. So check them out at the boat show if you're going to go to the boat show. Start dreaming about summer a little bit. You know what I mean? Got some news here on Patrick Mahomes. As he said, it gave us a spin today at practice, improvement on day 2. They showed a video of Patrick Mahomes kind of hopping around. It used to be you'd get a chance to sit and watch practice. You'd watch practice. You'd be able to, see some of the things that they're going to do, look for some things they may want to run, little strategy stuff. You couldn't record it. You couldn't use your phone or anything like that, but at least you could, see it. Now it's basically come on in. You get a chance to see who's all there, who isn't there, who's working off to the side for, rehab and such. And then after that, they basically kick you out. So Two stories in the NBA. One I didn't cover, and I don't want to go too deep into it. Ben, did you see the whole Shannon Sharp incident at the Lakers game?
I did, yes.
Now, I am not we all know Shannon Sharp is very mouthy, and he can get into it. But what the hell is he thinking? Was there any explanation for why he went off the way he did to where he has to be removed from a Lakers game?
He apologized.
He apologized, but he's a mental
brought
case.
a lot of eyeballs to his apology, as you would expect, probably.
But it's like, what are you doing? It's like, did you see last night the DoorDash guy? What game was that? What game was that in?
Loyola against some random Dayton, I think. There was an update on that though.
Okay, what was the update? Was he delivering food? He looked like he was delivering food.
So yeah, during the game, this guy walked on the court with a McDonald's order on Uber Eats, and when people zoomed in on it, he had a microphone. He had people filming. It was a viral stunt. The guy was trying to go big on the internet.
Okay, that's what. Okay, so now he doesn't deserve any of our attention. But it was pretty funny when it happened because the guy just walks in the court. He's walking in with a bag of food. It looked like it was a DoorDash dude, like somebody sitting courtside ordered food from McDonald's. And my question was, wait a minute, how do you get in there to begin with? They're not just going to let a DoorDash guy walk in the arena. That would never happen at any, it would never happen at the Kohl Center. It would never happen at the Five Serve. It would never happen at UW Panther Arena. Never happen at the Resch Center. First of all, you got to get a ticket to get in. Did he buy a ticket and then walked in? So, because I thought this is bizarre. No, because if this guy legitimately was making a delivery, any arena you've ever been to, they always make sure the delivery stays at the security desk. Always. So I'm like, even get in. So I thought I raised an eyebrow at it from the very beginning, and everybody said that this was going to be a kind of a stunt, and sure enough, now it is. So there you go. One of the other pieces of news, and we talked about at the very beginning of the show, we didn't get a chance to talk about it too much, but Charles Barkley. Now we just got done talking to Jim Owczarski about an hour and a half ago, who covers the Bucs, and a lot of these guys, they haven't played together. Giannis was down for a while. Chris Middleton's been down a lot this season. Brooke Lopez, a couple of games. You obviously got Bobby Portis now down 2 to 4 weeks. So these guys aren't, but they're talking about this load management thing. And Charles Barkley had this to say, what he wants the owners to do regarding this whole load management thing.
First of all, it's embarrassing for the NBA, and I cannot wait for these owners to put their foot in their asses in this next CBA. These dudes going to do something to these players. They're going to be like, wait a minute, you can't make $50 million and not play half the season, okay? Because now you just really just like slapping me in my face, taking my check twice a month. And we got guys like, and Eddie, I see guys that got a sore hip or something. I'm like, everybody's sore in the NBA after 20, 30, 40 games.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be very interesting in the next CBA because, the billionaires always wins against millionaires. And I think those owners are going to try to do something. I don't know what it is. I think there's going to be a strike or a lockout, however you want to phrase it. But I think they're going to say, okay, you guys don't want to play. I'm going to teach y'all a lesson. Because, we paid y'all during the pandemic. We didn't have nobody in the stands for a couple years, but we still paid y'all. And this is how y'all repay us, making all this money and not wanting to play. So, man, I think it's going to be very interesting in the next CBA. But, Eddie, to pick it back on your point, man, it's getting to the point where it's actually a joke now.
So that's Charles Barkley talking about this whole load management thing. Now, you never want to go, well, back in the day when I played, back in the day when he played, you had the bad boys of the Pistons. You go back to the Jordan days, go back to even when Larry Bird was playing, with Boston and Magic was with the Lakers. You had the Chocolate Thunder down. You had Dr. J down in Philly. All these different guys, they beat the hell out of one another on a nightly basis. And they were sore. They were hurting, the whole thing. I get it. You're drawing a fine line now between the millions, tens of millions you're investing in players and the health of players down the stretch and going to the postseason. I get it. There's a fine line there. But he's right. It's like when you've got fans coming, and now I've always said, I've been a big proponent of this. You buy a ticket to see a game, and if you're buying a ticket to see a player, expecting to see that player in today's day and age, you're a fool. Unless the game means something, that could be a night that they just let Giannis sit. Or whomever, or John Morant, or, pick out any other, superstar, Steph Curry, anybody, anyone can sit. And then to complain about it after the fact, that's on you. But if it's a meaningful game in some way, shape, or form, you can almost guarantee they're going to play. But the whole thing with the NBA, I'll tell you this. I get it. These guys are sitting. It used to be you'd sit probably 3, 4, 5 games in a season. Now they're sitting 15, 20 games, a quarter of the season for load management, as they call it, to keep them healthier. And granted, you've got a lot invested. You don't want them to break down. So I understand it. It's a fine line. But the owners are going to eventually say, hey, wait a minute, fans are paying to come and see you guys, and you guys are taking a lot of time off because you got, bumps and bruises, and got to get past it. So anyway, you're never going to win it because the players rule the roost. But like he said, you get into the billionaires versus the millionaires, and the billionaires are going to win each and every time. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Find us. We'd love to hear from you. This one is from Vince, who says, love the show. Keep it coming. Have a question. Do you think the franchises will kind of catch on to the big contracts for quarterbacks? I thought I saw where the top 5 quarterbacks paid that are not in the playoffs. Is that because of age, or is that because of the contract, the handcuffing the franchise? Well, Russell Wilson's in that. Rodgers, the Deshaun Watson was in that. Who was the other two? Matthew Stafford was in that. And then there's another one. Because Mahomes is making, 17% of his team's total pay. He's got a big contract. But there was somebody else. I don't think it was Brady. Maybe it was. But yeah, it's because I've said it 100 times.
Kyler Murray.
Murray. Thank you very much. Kyler Murray. I was trying to think of somebody that just signed. Yeah, Kyler Murray. And he's easy to forget about because he's a mess. But Kyler Murray. So all of those quarterbacks, once you start to, go back to when Joe Flacco had that tremendous defense around him, right? Ed Reed and company, they were fantastic. That was an incredible defense. And a minute Flacco, who was considered the best downfield passer at the time, was like, give me a break. He was a game manager at best, The minute Joe Flacco got paid, done. The minute Eli got paid, done. No, it wasn't going to happen. Wasn't going to happen. You could just tell. Wasn't going to happen. By the way, somebody mentioned a little bit earlier about Ben Roethlisberger. Remember when Roethlisberger actually in his last year took less to come back? He took less to try to get more around him to come back. Somebody had said that he was run out. He wasn't good. But remember, the team welcomed him back, but he ended up saying, look, I'll give you a bunch of money back. And he did. He actually did. So can it be done? Yes, it can be done. 877-867-1670. Mark Maskey tweeting out to the Panthers, no longer an option for Sean Payton because they hired Frank Reich today, and that was an issue with Payton's interview with the Broncos. Payton likes the idea of coaching Russell Wilson and having the defense, but fears the potential power struggle with a member of the ownership group, according to Maskey. Sean Payton, man, it's like he can go where he wants, but isn't it kind of weird that they're talking about Sean Payton as if he's some kind of massive guru, Ben? He's won exactly the same amount of Super Bowls as Mike McCarthy. And Mike McCarthy has a better win percentage record-wise than Sean Payton does. And yet Sean Payton's the guy. He can go anywhere. But I'm like, I'm not saying, Mike McCarthy, is the end all be all. But if they just put it up, Andy Reid, Mike McCarthy, Sean McDermott, Nick Sirianni, and Kyle Shanahan. If you go with the most wins over the last 2 years, McCarthy's number 2. The problem is he's got an idiot in Dak who took all the money, isn't that damn good. He's a game manager at best, and that's who he's working with. But the only person that's got more wins than Mike McCarthy is Andy Reid. That's it. When you go through that list of guys that have been winners. And Sean Payton, he can hold Mike McCarthy's lunch. He had a Hall of Fame quarterback too in Drew Brees. That's when he won it. But what he got credit for was creativity and such in the Super Bowl, and I understand that. But he only won one. So I'd go ahead.
I'd hire him, right?
Yeah.
Like I'd take him over other options. But
Sure.
the question is, would you give up a first round pick or more?
Right.
That's where I don't think I'd give up a first round pick to hire any coach.
Well, that's my point.
Unless they're Shanahan.
And they're acting like Shanahan or not Shanahan. They're acting like Sean Payton is the best thing sitting out there. Like he's this just highly decorated. Sean Payton's good, but he's not great. He just is. I don't know. I'm getting getting in the weeds.
The Broncos ownership group is funny. If you want to guess who he has a problem with, there's Rob Walton, who I haven't really heard of. He's 77, founder of Walmart.
Right.
Greg and Carrie Penner, who I don't know much about. Condoleezza Rice, which is,
Talking about an eclectic group at dinner.
Name I've heard. Lewis Hamilton, the big X1 or F1 driver.
Uh-huh.
And then someone named Melanie Hobson, who I don't know much about. But it's funny, you read through the names, it's like, oh, and Condoleezza Rice.
Yeah. All right. But you wonder if it's somebody a part of the ownership group or it's just
It's
somebody
probably Elway.
Or I was going to say, or is it Elway? Because Elway, you ever met Elway?
No.
If you
I
have a
not.
brief conversation with him, he's a nice guy. But for those that have dealt with him consistently, he can be an ass. I mean, a jag. Because he's a god in Denver. And he was kind of a jag when he played. And now he's this guy that's trying to put all these pieces together. But yeah, he's been kind of a jag. And you hear that's one of the things I love about Super Bowl, because you get out there and you start talking to all these people and all these players. You just start, kind of comparing notes. How is it there? How is it this way? Blah, blah, blah. And you start to talk to these guys and like, oh, that guy, oh, he's not that. And you're like, really? Never knew that. Oh yeah, this guy. So you start to get the dirt on people. And it's like, wow. And Elway can be an egomaniacal, his ego could fill the stadium and then some.
Well, plus Peyton probably wants what Harbaugh wants. I think the whole reason no team was going to hire Harbaugh is because Harbaugh wants control.
Right.
He wants to build the roster. Peyton probably wants that. Elway will say, hell no. I want to pick my 6'5" quarterback that can't really throw.
Yep. Well, he's the one that wanted, Russell Wilson.
Huh.
And boy. Now you wonder what kind of season he's going to have. If he has one of those bounce back years where he comes back and you're like, okay, now it was just Nathaniel Hackett. It was the offense. It was just a lot of creative differences. We'll say, okay, now you get it. But if he comes back and does the same thing next year, and talk about another guy with an ego, I don't know what people feel about him here in Wisconsin, because he did play 1 year for Wisconsin. I don't know if coming here as a hired gun and only playing 1 year. I don't know if that really makes you a Wisconsinite, so to speak, because he still does list it as, Russell Wilson, Wisconsin. He still says that. But yeah, it's he's another one that, people say it's he's a total facade. Total facade. All right, got a break. One more to go. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Now, here's Mike Clemens.
The NFL's conference championships are coming up this Sunday. It's the Eagles and the 49ers in Philadelphia, followed by the Bengals and Chiefs in Kansas City. The forecast for Philly calls for mostly cloudy skies and temperatures in the 40s. Tight end Dallas Goedert says the Eagles must be at their best, even though they had the best record in the NFC this season.
You never know when your last play is going to be. You just kind of got to leave it all out there, because the last thing you want to do is wake up on Monday morning and say, man, I wish I would have tried a little bit harder on this play. If I would have chased that down, maybe I could have made something happen. So this time of the year, it's definitely you just lay it all out there, because you know it could be your last time going out there for a very long time.
The 49ers offense is loaded with weapons for quarterback Brock Purdy, Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni.
And they got a lot of guys. They got Kittle, they have McCaffrey, they got Ayuk, they got Samuel, right? They got a lot of guys that can change the game at those skill positions. They got a great offensive line. They got a quarterback that's doing his job to get the ball to him. You know, that presents a lot of issues, right? And so we're going to just have to be sound with what we do, but we got good playmakers too, right? And our guys, our good players are going to have to play good against their good players.
The last time these two teams met in the postseason was in 1996, when Steve Young and the 49ers beat Ty Detmer and the Birds 14-0 on a rainy, windy day. But this is a much different Eagles team. 49ers tight end George Kittle.
The Eagles, I mean, they're pretty top tier, so it's going to be wonderful. I know how much the fans love their opposing team and all the fans, so it's going to be really fun, and it's going to be cold and violent, and it's going to be a blast.
That's the 49ers' George Kittle. I'm Mike Clemens on The Bill Michaels Show.
Welcome back. Hey, don't forget, tomorrow we are going to be at the Distillery in Grafton. Come on out, enjoy some lunch with us. Really looking forward to it. You can get registered for a big screen TV that we are giving away on site tomorrow. The only people that are registered for this are the people that show up tomorrow. That's it. So if you're one of the people that are facing the crowd, one of 10, one of 30, one of 50, that's what your chances are to win this thing. Wayne Larry, the voice of the Green Bay Packers, is going to join us in the noon hour. Mike Clemens is going to be there to close out the program and the hour after that. But tomorrow we're going to be at the Distillery in Grafton, starting at the doors open up at 11. We go 11 to 2. We're on the air from 10 to 2, but the doors open up at 11. Come out and get some lunch, some Bud Light specials, got some giveaways. Get yourself registered for all kinds of, tchotchke stuff. And then we're giving away the big screen TV tomorrow. Tomorrow only. We're not carrying it out. You're carrying it out of there. We're not carrying it out of there. So come out to the Distillery in Grafton tomorrow. So really, really looking forward to this. And we hope to see you there as a face in the crowd. Real quick, when you think of coaches that are all-time greats, Bill Belichick, we know, leads everybody. Who is second on the list of wins in the postseason, do you think?
Andy Reid.
Tom Landry and Andy Reid are tied with 20 apiece.
Oh.
If Andy Reid gets a win this weekend, he will overtake Tom Landry for the most postseason wins, but obviously Landry has more Super Bowl wins.
He's been to 5 title conference title games with 2 franchises.
Yep.
It's crazy.
He makes his 10th conference championship appearance. Tied for
5 each.
5 each. Tied for second most ever by a head coach. That's incredible. He has one Super Bowl to show for it. So there you go. So tomorrow we will see you at the Distillery in Grafton. Come on out tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon. We're going to have a great time. Have some lunch with us. Sit back, relax, enjoy yourself. Bud Light specials. They'll have some whiskey there for you as well. Food out there is fantastic. I've been there a couple of times, and it just opened not that long ago, so it's kind of a grand opening party. So tomorrow, Distillery in Grafton. Doors open up at 11. We're going to be there inside doing the radio program. Wayne Larrabee on site tomorrow. Mike Clemens on site tomorrow. Come on out and join us. We're going to have a great time. It's all brought to you by our friends at Bud Light. They are the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. Time for us